Off to a good start, and that is not Dave Bush. That's Livan Hernandez starting for the Mets.
And Livan's numbers are 13 wins last season. He split his time between the Minnesota Twins and the Colorado Rockies. And what Jerry Manuel loves about him, he has the ability to throttle back and forth, which makes him very effective. He'll have to do that against these young hitters here in the Brewers lineup.
First time out for the Mets black uniforms this year. See if they can get themselves on a roll, winning 4 and losing 5 through their first 9 games of the year. And there is Schneider, who has been trying to fight through injuries, it seems, ever since he got to the Mets in spring training last year. And here he is just a week and a half into the season and on the disabled list. Ricky Weeks will lead things off for the Brewers. Weeks hit just .234 last year. But you see, he has got popped 5 leadoff home runs last season.
Well, he got off to an incredibly bad start last season. A little better start this year.
And Livan misses outside with a fastball to start him off. Ball 1.
And this is a Brewer offense that's power packed. They're 11th in runs scored early in the season here with only 41 runs.
And there's Omir Santos wearing number 9, getting ready for a potential Mets debut.
And there's Charlie Samuels, the clubhouse man. There he is, the face behind the name we always mention in the broadcast. There's Charlie. Charlie, he looks in pretty good mood today. That's unusual.
And Charlie assigned Santos a number that is pretty important as far as a catcher in Mets history. Todd Hundley wore number 9. Here's Corey Hart on deck, then Ryan Braun. Home run bats up and down this Milwaukee batting order. They've hit 12 home runs already in their first 9 games, despite not hitting much as a team. And Livan gets ahead with a breaking ball, 2-2. There's Prince Fielder, the cleanup hitter, and he's off to a slow start.
1 home run, batting 200.
He got off to a slow start last year. The power numbers also, but came on strong.
2-2 to Weeks. Fastball struck him out. 86 miles an hour, but upstairs, and Weeks goes down 1 away.
Just beautiful pitching by Livan Hernandez. 2-1 slider for a strike, and then added a couple miles an hour up in the strike zone to Weeks. Nice pitching.
And the Lexus Metsi defense, Church getting back-to-back games there. Sheffield started 2 nights ago, but Church is back in the lineup. Got a couple hits last night. Castro, of course, is now in there starting on with Schneider on the DL. He'll get a lot of the work now.
Corey Hart takes a strike, and we talked about it a lot with Ramon this spring. It's so important for him to stay healthy for his own sake, but now for the team's sake as well. Hart has hit 20 homers and stolen 20 bases each of the last couple of years. He's developed into a nice player for Milwaukee. And the curveball off the plate, and it's 1-1.
Livan is what you'd call a tantalizer. He knows exactly what he's doing. Sometimes I think when he throws those curveballs for a ball that just missed, that he does it on purpose. And I love that saying. Ronnie, you say it all the time. Steve Carlton said it to me. Expanding the strike zone.
Yes. Well, there's many things Livan can do now at 1-2. He can throw that slow curveball. He can try to paint the outside corner. He can bust them in, throw something in the dirt. There we go.
Throws the curve a little slower. 64 miles an hour on that one.
A lot of right-hand hitters in this lineup. The only lefty is Prince Fielder.
Mets are still not certain what they're going to do for a starting pitcher on Sunday, whether it's going to be Mike Pelfrey or somebody else. But if it's somebody else, you have to figure it's going to be a right-hander against this Brewers team. As Hart goes down swinging, back-to-back strikeouts for Livan Hernandez to start the night.
And both on the same pitch. A lot of breaking balls early, and then adds a little bit on that fastball. Good movement on that outside corner. Livan can give you one of those, as hitters call it, Keith, a comfortable 0 for 4. You don't know how you didn't get a hit, but sometimes you don't.
If you're a young hitter, he is precisely the man you don't want to face.
Well, Ryan Braun has hit 71 home runs in his first 2 big league seasons. Only the second player in Major League history to hit 30 or more each of his first 2 years. Albert Pujols did it, and now Ryan Braun has done it. But he is homerless so far in 09 through his first 33 at-bats.
You young pitchers at home, you see Livan Hernandez throwing 84 miles an hour. He's throwing first pitch strikes with that fastball to all 3 hitters.
Grounded out to Castillo. And the easiest of first innings for Liban Hernandez as he sets the Brewers down 1-2-3. Mets will try and go to work against Dave Bush in the bottom of the first. No score. Into the Jackie Robinson Rotunda.
I'll tell you what, I'm really happy they named that plaza after Casey Stengel also.
See some rubble back there where Shea Stadium used to be.
See what Rick Sutcliffe said about that? Said Shea never looked so good.
That's an old John Franco line from Veterans Stadium when it got knocked out. Here's the Geico Mets starting lineup. Castro in there again tonight, otherwise the same unit for the Mets, who are fourth in the league in runs scored, yet are 4-5 on the year. Jose Reyes leads off and takes a strike from Dave Bush.
9 wins last season. His last start against the Mets last year, he gave up 6 earned runs in 5 innings pitched. Their starters all have a high ERA, almost 6 so far this season. Lots of walks, but he pours 2 strikes over early.
Well, their starting rotation is 2 and 7. And you're right, Ronnie. There's 3 guys with an ERA over 6. There's the defense right there.
Well, it's really a staff without an ace now, with Sabathia and Sheets gone. And the curveball misses to Reyes 1 and 2. They hope that Giovanni Gallardo will eventually be their ace, but he's still very young.
And then Manny Parra will get better. And they thought their steady Eddie would be Suppan, who's not a number 1, but he's kind of a steady pitcher. But he's come off at a really horrible start for Ken Maka.
Maka, the first-year manager of the Brewers, former Oakland skipper.
They won the AL West in 2003 and 2006 under Kenny Maka.
And then after they won it in 2006, he went to the AL Championship Series, and he got fired.
And there's Willie.
Willie took the job as the bench coach after coming in second for the managerial job in Milwaukee. They picked Maka over Willie way inside, and Reyes has to move quickly, 3-2.
Willie wants to come inside. Yeah, that's fair game.
Anyway, Doug Melvin, the GM, chose Maka over Willie, and Melvin called Willie to say, look, he came in second, sorry, and Willie was gracious and said Ken Maka's a good man, made a good choice. Reyes hits one up the middle, base hit. And the Mets have the leadoff man on against Dave Bush. Anyway, the very next day, Willie gets a phone call from Ken Maka saying, come be my bench coach.
Wow.
Now, I've never heard of that happening before. The guy who lost out on the job getting tabbed by the guy who won the job to be his bench coach.
Agreed. Usually you don't want someone that close in case things don't get off to a quick start. But with Willie, I think what's really important is that he can work with the young Ricky Weeks, the second baseman, who has gotten off to a slow start in his career. He'll do a lot of good things with Ricky.
Reyes aboard, and here's Daniel Murphy. Murphy hit in each of the 3 games against San Diego. Reyes without too big of a lead, and Murphy takes ball 1. Murphy hitting at .289. David Wright waits on deck. Reyes off to a slow start in terms of stealing bases.
We said it last night. I think he's not only reading the pitcher and the catcher and the move, he's also reading Daniel Murphy to see how many pitches Daniel's going to take in that first at bat when he's on base.
Line over short, base hit. Reyes to second, and the Mets have the first 2 men on against Dave Bush. Back-to-back hits for Reyes and Murphy.
Well, nice hitting right there. Ball just out of the reach of J.J. Hardy. And Reyes couldn't advance to third because he had to freeze. Wasn't sure whether that ball was going to be caught. And you see the Brewers defense. Mike Cameron right there, 3-time Gold Glove winner. Rivera behind the plate. Mike Rivera. He's the backup catcher. He's spelling the veteran Jason Kendall, who's the starting catcher.
Kendall started 149 games last year, the most by any big league catcher since Gary Carter in '82 for Montreal. That's a long time, 26 years. Here's David Wright. He's hit in all 9 games the Mets have played this year. Lines one, base hit into left field. Reyes had to hold up. He goes to third as Braun fields it. 3 straight singles have loaded the bases with nobody out. And David Wright now has a 10-game hitting streak to start the year.
Well, everybody's been paying attention. David Bush has not got his curveball over at all in this first inning, and he is not overpowering. And again, Reyes has to freeze.
Boy, if this is a prize fight, the Mets have come out throwing uppercuts.
And you've got the big bomber coming up right now with the bases loaded.
A red-hot Carlos Delgado will bat with the bases full and nobody out. Last night, Delgado crushed one 440 feet to the bridge in right center for a 3-run homer in the first inning. And with that, cleared the 1,500 RBI plateau for his career.
And you see the defense right there. No shift. Not the big shift. Bases are loaded.
Center fielder Cameron, though, playing more to pull than most teams.
Usually they play Delgado straight away or a step to left center with that center fielder. Delgado lifts one to center. Cameron chasing back. Near the edge of the track, slows to make the catch. Reyes tags and scores. The other 2 runners tag as well. They both move up a base. It's a sacrifice fly for Delgado. 1-0 New York. 13 runs batted in for Carlos Delgado.
With first ball fastball hitting, and he just missed this one. He's all over that fastball and just got under it. An excellent base running by David Wright. When you got a chance here to go out halfway and you read the play whether the outfield is going to catch or not. Now they got plenty of time to get back and tag up. Outstanding.
Boy, you know who read that early was Jose Reyes. He kept pointing and yelling to Daniel Murphy, tag up, tag up.
So that'll leave 2 in scoring position for Beltran, and the Brewers will keep the infield back, already down by a run. Beltran hitting at .333. And the curveball stays high for ball 1.
Yeah, I guess Bush figured I better throw something else. They're on my fastball like there's no tomorrow.
Carlos went 0 for 2 last night, his first hitless game of the year. And the breaking ball, 2-0. Murphy is at third, Wright at second with 1 out. 1 is home, 3 straight hits and a Delgado sacrifice fly. Delgado beginning the day was 1 behind Albert Pujols for the league lead in runs batted in. Now has 13 for the season. 2-0 to Beltran, and a curveball misses badly. So 3 straight breaking balls by Bush, and he didn't catch the plate with any of them.
Does Pujols ever have a bad day?
Sure he does, but not too many.
Oh, man.
He doesn't give up at bats.
Yeah.
I had dinner in spring training with Red Schoendienst and your old manager,
yeah,
Tony La Russa, and the host, Jerry Clinton, good friend,
Fastball 3-0, fouled off.
asked Red, he goes, oh, actually, I'm sorry, La Russa asked Red. I mean, he's the greatest hit I've ever seen. Red, is he every bit as good as Musial? And Red is such a gentleman. And Red said, well, he's got to do it another 14 years. Ouch.
He might.
Very good.
Yeah, he might. He's right. Yeah, he will if he stays healthy.
3-1 to Beltran. And he reaches for that one and fouls it off. 3-2.
Very interesting thing we've seen the last 2 days, right, guys? Delgado with a home run on a 3-0 count. Beltran last night with a line drive just foul on a 3-0 count, and again swinging here.
Carlos Beltran has always liked to swing 3-0. We haven't seen it as much from Delgado. In fact, last night was the first time Delgado has hit a home run on a 3-0 pitch as a Met.
And I think that's had a lot to do with Jerry getting this club more aggressive.
3-2 from Bush. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Foul tip held on to by Rivera, and that's a big second out for Dave Bush. Comes back from 3-0 to get Beltran.
Well, he wanted to come in, and he missed on the other half of the plate and up out of the strike zone, and Carlos just went after it. And Carlos loves that high ball. You very rarely ever see him miss one up there.
That's a huge comeback from Bush. Now he'll face Ryan Church, who last year hit a grand slam against Dave Bush in a game in Milwaukee, and Ryan off to a scintillating start, second in the league with that .419 average. He won't get a chance to swing here because with a right-hand hitter on deck, they'll walk Church intentionally, and so Ramon Castro will get a shot with the bases loaded.
Playing the percentages, Ken Waka, I agree here. I just don't think that Bush has enough on his fastball to get it by Castro.
Castro had a breaking ball yesterday for a 2-run homer that got the Mets back to within a run against Juaner Sanchez. So Church getting the intentional walk, 3 hits, a run in, and Castro will have a chance to give the Mets some more.
Boy, it's not many times that as a pitcher in the first inning you give up a run and you've won, but that will be the case if Bush gets out of this inning.
Well, this was Ramon last night in the 8th inning.
And that was a hanging slider up. Right down the line. Brought the Mets to within 1.
And that was Castro's first and to this point only hit of the season. Ramon has never hit a grand slam in his major league career. Bush throws the slider wide, 1-0.
Always loved with the bases loaded or a pitcher in a tough situation when he misses that first strike, particularly with a breaking ball.
Murphy, Wright, and Church, the base runners. 29-year-old Dave Bush, who started his career in Toronto. And he nips the outside edge, 1-1. Bush was a catcher in college at Wake Forest. Later became a closer there, but never started games as a pitcher until he became a professional.
Which is very unusual.
Usually it goes the other way around. 1-1 to Castro. Bounces one foul. 1-2. Well, this is an opportunity for Ramon now. He's going to be playing most days behind the plate very early in this season, trying to get his year off to a faster, more healthy start than last year. Last year, the Mets had to dip deep into their catching platoon in the minor leagues, bringing up guys like Robinson Cancel and Raul Casanova and Gustavo Molina because both Schneider and Castro were hurt. Ramon trying to prove to everybody that with the weight that he's lost and the conditioning that he's done, that he can go through a full season without bouncing to the disabled list.
And correct me if I'm wrong, he's on the second year of a 2-year contract, right? So, you're playing to play some more,
Timing is everything. 25th pitch of the inning coming up for Bush. 2-2 to Castro. And the breaking ball low and away. Rivera has to move over to stop it. And now the merry-go-round will be in motion with 3 and 2 and 2 down, and Luis Castillo on deck.
Well, Bush again missing badly with that curveball. You can pretty much eliminate it right here. He has not even been close. He's been bouncing him in the dirt. If he throws one here, that'd be a gutty pitch.
Rivera's out there. What do you want to throw, Dave? I don't know. Flip a coin. Let's figure it out.
Mike Rivera has been installed this year as the personal catcher for Dave Bush, more than anything else to cut down on Jason Kendall's workload.
Yeah, this is not a Greg Maddux, Eddie Perez moment, right?
Not unless Bush gets off to a really good start.
Yeah, you're right.
The runners get set to go. 3 and 2 to Castro. And he walked him to force in a run. And it's 2-0 New York as Murphy comes across the plate. So Castro was behind in the count. Works out the walk after the intentional walk to Church. And the Mets have a 2-run lead.
Bill Castro coming out. He's the new pitching coach for the Milwaukee Brewers, replacing Maddux. Greg Maddox's brother, of course. Mike Maddux. You know, very interesting choice of pitches there. The catcher went out. They talked about it, and they ended up coming inside with a fastball to Ramon Castro. Let me tell you, if you're pitching in this ballpark and you've been watching the last few days and you see 408 and 415, you have a much better chance of throwing a fastball away, letting them put it in play, and you got gold out there in center field. There's gold in their hills out there. Let them catch everything.
Well, here's a red-hot Luis Castillo. 5-game hitting streak, 9 for 16 in the 5 games. Bases loaded, 2 down, 2 runs already in. And Castillo ignores the curveball. That one bends in for a strike, a rare one from Bush.
And notice how it was up in the strike zone. He tried to make an adjustment there. And a lot of times when pitchers are either high or low, they make the adjustment. They leave it right around belt high. And that's certainly what he did there.
Castillo right now 9th in the National League with a .385 batting average, and he takes way inside 1-1.
And we saw off PB yesterday, Castillo had a slider up in the strike zone, drilled the base hit up the middle. Might be the pitch he sees here.
And Louis takes a knee-high strike. Good pitch by Bush. 1-2. About to throw his 30th pitch of this first inning. More balls than strikes, and that's been a big problem for this Brewers staff. They have been walking tons. 1-2 to Castillo. Curveball, and he wasted it away with a half swing.
How many 25 or over pitch counts we've seen in the first inning so far early this year? Not only from the opposing team, but also from the Met pitchers also.
Well, we saw PV last night throw 44 pitches.
Pelfrey had a 41 pitch inning, I believe, in his first start in Cincinnati.
1-2 to Castillo. Another curve, slaps it toward the hole. Hardy with the dive, smothers it. He throws wildly between third and home, but no advance. I don't think Church realized where that ball had gone. So it's simply an infield single for Castillo that brings home right and makes it 3-0 New York. I don't know where J.J. Hardy was throwing that ball.
Well, we saw a little bit of that the second game of the series against the Padres when he threw the ball around. This is just I don't know, Little League? It's just ill-advised.
He was trying to throw behind the runner, but Bill Hall was not on the base. Good job by Shines. You see him pointing that base? Stay there. Nowhere to go.
And I think that's where that short distance between home plate and the backstop really comes into play. Yeah. It's only 45 feet, so that ball didn't have a lot of room to bounce around, and Rivera went back to get it. Now Livan Hernandez, who handles the bat very well, had 3 sacrifices to tie a Mets club record in his first start. Bats here with the bases loaded. 3 runs already in. And Livan takes a strike. Livan has 9 career home runs and a .233 lifetime batting average.
He told me once in RBI situations he tries to hit the ball the other way if he gets a fastball.
And the curveball from Bush in for a strike, 0-2. Well, the Mets scored 3 runs in the first inning last night and couldn't make it stand up. Now Livan has been granted 3 runs in the first inning tonight. Reyes, who started the inning with a base hit, now on deck. On the outside corner, strike 3 called. Hernandez down looking to end the inning, but the Mets bat around in the first, and they score 3. Now Levon goes to the mound, try and protect that lead as we head to the second. The fact they've got some fearsome home run bats in the middle of their order, it was their pitching that carried them into the postseason.
Well, CC Sabathia with the complete games, pitching on 3 days rest 4 consecutive times in a row. That's how they got there. Also, you know, the Mets weren't able to complete their end of the deal, or they would have been there also. But they've got some power in the middle of that lineup.
Yep.
With Fielder and Braun and Hardy and Hall.
They are feast or famine.
Prince Fielder leads off in the second, and he takes a strike from Levon Hernandez. Prince a little trimmer than he was last year. Last year, the big news that he became a vegetarian, and this year he's probably about 20 pounds lighter. Although you can't tell from the uniform because it's so baggy.
No, you can tell. He looks a lot thinner. And last year, he got off to the tough start. Didn't have the power, and then people were complaining they could go back eating burgers.
Well, 2 years ago, he had 50 home runs. As he strokes that one foul. Last year, just 34 and 102 RBIs. Not a bad year, but after you've hit 50, they expect you to do it every year.
Well, it's hard. You never know what kind of body style will work for you. J.J. Hardy on deck. I remember Sid Fernandez came to camp once as light as he'd ever been. He couldn't break a pane of glass.
And Levon throws the fastball, and Fielder fouls it off. Well, Fielder is only 24 years old. So he has got a long career ahead of him, and being in shape and taking pressure off his knees and all that is probably a lot more important in terms of the longevity of his career than anything else at this point. Just missed the inside corner, 2-2.
Well, looking right now at this Brewer team and the statistics, and of course you haven't. Oh boy, the big shift there as far as Castillo. Way over there.
Can't play that deep in the outfield against Fielder. He can run a little bit. Popped up foul off to the left.
You know, it's interesting. It's after that ball from Luis Rodriguez of the San Diego Padres that kind of fooled Ryan Church in right center field. Ryan's playing a lot deeper than I'm used to him playing. I think that's to take away from any problem there in that little gap.
And really playing that gap more than you'd expect against a slugger like Fielder. 2-2. High fly ball deep left center field. Beltran easing back to the warning track, and he runs it down. Just about the same spot where Delgado hit his sacrifice fly. Fielder denied at the warning track by Beltran.
It looks like Carlos here thought he was under it, and then he had to kind of kick it in gear a little bit. Getting familiar with the stadium. We've talked about this. He's calling it right now.
That's Daniel, get out of my way.
Yeah.
It's mine. That's fun in a series like this when you have two Gold Glove center fielders like Beltran and Cameron. Of course, played next to each other for a couple of years and devastatingly came too close to each other in San Diego back in '05.
It was as vicious a collision as when Mookie and Dykstra collided.
Yes,
in left center.
I honestly couldn't watch it because they kept showing it on various highlight shows.
Well, what made it so bad was that they both were diving for the ball, so it was like two missiles coming through the air that collided.
It was ugly.
And of course, Cameron got the worst of it. Beltran was back playing in less than a week, but Cameron missed the rest of the year, had all sorts of facial fractures and disfigurement. But to Mike's credit, he came back strong, and he's off to a great start this year with the Brewers.
Interesting, right? San Diego comes in with Cliff Floyd, although he didn't play, and now Brewers in with Mike Cameron.
Mike's one of the good guys, too.
Well, those two guys were so important in the Mets clubhouse. Line to second. Nice backhand play by Castillo on a hop. And he throws out J.J. Hardy, 2 men down.
Well, Castillo barely had to move here. This was a bullet.
And now Cameron, and look at those gaudy numbers. Right now, Mike Cameron leads the league in slugging percentage at .815. These are Barry Bonds type numbers. Cameron missed the first part of last year. He was under suspension because of performance enhancing drugs for the first 25 games. Still wound up with 25 home runs. See that slugging number. Bounce foul.
I was going to see when was the first Brewer hitter who's going to swing at that first pitch fastball that Levon keeps doing. Now, Levon is pretty interesting. After he gets through the lineup, he'll probably change that second time through the order, but he figures when the first time around he's going to get that first pitch strike.
Especially now with a 3-run lead. There's a fastball for a strike, and he's ahead on Cameron 0-2. Mike is a very streaky hitter, and he's in a very hot streak now. The question is, how long can he maintain it? And the curveball lifted in the air to left field. Murphy started back, now coming on. He's there to make the grab. 6 up and 6 down for Levon Hernandez. No stumble after being handed the lead. Mets will turn the lineup over and start from scratch in the second, up 3-0.
Early here, and I'm lucky enough to be with a man who's been in the news quite a bit the last few days, and rightfully so. Archbishop Timothy Dolan joins us with Archbishop. It's great to have you.
Kevin, good to be with you. Thanks for the invite. I'm enjoying it.
So how's this whirlwind been like? You're here from Milwaukee, which we'll get to. But you come into the big city, certainly a lot more people to be involved with. Tell me what it's been like for you the first few days.
I could not ask for more. Wednesday was my opening day with becoming the Archbishop of New York. It's just been exhilarating, Kevin. The people have been so enthusiastic, so embracing, so warm and friendly. my family was here, we all said, you know, the perception that we got from the Midwest is that New Yorkers are aloof and distant. Anything but. They have just been remarkably friendly, so it's been tremendous.
How about St. Patrick's Cathedral and the people and the media frenzy and that whole element?
Yeah, somebody told me they call St. Patrick's Cathedral the Yankee Stadium of churches. Have you ever heard that?
It's a good comparison.
I have to say that I was overwhelmed just to walk through those doors at St. Patrick's Cathedral and hear the welcome and the prayers and the music and the applause of the people. It was phenomenal.
Line out by Jose Reyes. Excellent work, by the way, stopping for the play-by-play. I'm impressed.
Listen, I got my priorities right. You know, when I hear the crack of the bat, you know to look up. But no, it has just been remarkable. And I'm thinking, what's going on? The people don't know me that well, but yet they've been so wonderfully welcoming. So it's been exhilarating.
Now, let's talk about where you came from. You came from Milwaukee. Some of the Brewers players know you from being around the team. You are wearing the Met hat today. So when you come to a new city, do you just toss out the old hat, put on the new one? How does that work?
Well, you know, I'm a churchman, okay? And we believe whenever you're assigned a place, that's your home, that's your spiritual family. So I got to do it. It was tougher, to be honest with you, when I went to Milwaukee 7 years ago, because rooting for the St. Louis Cardinals is in my DNA, because I grew up in St. Louis. There to become a Brewers fan was a little more difficult. This was an easier transition because I've always kind of liked the St. Louis, the New York teams, the Mets and the Yankees. So this was a little easier. But no, I mean it sincerely. I want to live here. This is my home. I'm gonna die here, and I'm looking forward to my happy years here. So darn it, I want to be part of the life. And rooting for the Mets and the Yankees is going to be part of that.
Well, you told me when we were talking just before we came on that you were, of course, a big baseball fan growing up in St. Louis. What attracted you to the game? What do you like about the game?
Well, you know, we were just talking upstairs. Mr. Wilpon was kind enough to invite me today. And it's part of growing up. It's some of your normative memories, isn't it? And a lot of it has to do with your dad and your brothers and following players. For me, my fondest memories from like 6 years of age till about 16 is just baseball, the St. Louis Cardinals. The highlight of every summer, going to Busch Stadium with my dad during his vacation, listening to the radio, greats like Harry Carey and Jack Buck and Mike Shannon, Joe Garagiola, falling asleep listening to them. That's just part of happy boyhood memories.
Well, I don't know if you know, but one of our broadcasters is Keith Hernandez. Did you watch him play?
I didn't know that. He was the first baseman for the Cardinals, if I'm not mistaken. And didn't he play for the Mets as well?
He did.
I remember that. I didn't know that. Thank you.
He's upstairs right now listening.
And you know, another one of my heroes is here, Bob Uecker, because I got to know him and appreciate him when I was in Milwaukee. You mentioned earlier, Kevin, the guy I really got to admire was Jeff Suppan. Jeff is not only
Met fans aren't going to love that answer, by the way.
Well, he's not only a top-notch athlete, but he's an exemplary Catholic, and I really got to know and admire him very much.
2 outs here for the Mets as David Wright bats. I have one last question, Archbishop. Did a lot of Met fans, try to touch you and get a little piece, feeling maybe get a higher power for what's happened to this team the last couple of years?
Well, they asked me, how they squirt the field right before the game. They asked me if I would let them use holy water.
I figured there'd be something, that's for sure. Base hit for David Wright. Well, Archbishop Dolan, it's a pleasure to have you on, and certainly all the best to you here in New York City.
Look forward to seeing you often. Thank you.
All right, guys, back up to you. A Keith fan. How about that?
That is fantastic. Thanks to Archbishop Dolan, and thanks very much, Kevin. I guess if St. Patrick's is the Yankee Stadium Cathedral, maybe St. Peter's in Rome would be the City Field.
There you go. There you go. Well, his Excellency seems like a big fan, though, and that's great. That's great.
Loves the game. Reminds me of when we had Governor Patterson on for the first time and found out what a huge baseball fan, and particular Met fan, he is.
He mentioned some Met players only you and Howie know.
The Jerry Buchecks of the world.
Exactly.
Here's Delgado, who drove in the first run with a sacrifice fly. David Wright now 2 for 2, couple of hard hit singles. So for David, who's been having trouble making consistent contact despite the fact that he's hitting all 10 games, a fast start tonight.
A little more of a shift this time around without a runner on second base on Delgado.
David was here early, taking a lot of early batting practice and working on his stroke, especially Keith, you love this, going the other way, using the whole field.
I like the fact you got to go the other way when you're struggling.
Wright runs. Rivera's throw into the runner on a hop. Good tag by Hardy, and they get Wright to end the inning. Nicely done by J.J. Hardy to pick that out of the dirt. And Wright tagged out. Mets are done in the second. Levon Hernandez back to the mound with a 3-0 lead. On how much talent I had on the field as a kid. Answer, not much. Plus the one cherished item I was able to save from Shea Stadium on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. I can't believe they just made me read that.
I read your Ask the Booth answers, and I did not know the Shea memento until today.
Is that
That's
right?
pretty cool.
Well, I was fortunate enough. You know, I mentioned on the air last year that the one thing I would have wanted was 2 seats from the top row behind home plate at Shea. Bill Hall takes a strike, and you know that I said it once and kind of let it go. And this winter, arrived at my house, 2 red seats from the last row, right behind home plate at Shea Stadium, courtesy of our boss Steve Rabb, who bought them for me.
Very nice.
Very lovely, lovely gift. Very thoughtful, and I appreciated it greatly. So they're now sitting in my office.
It's really amazing, isn't it? Like I was, you know, George, who helps us out, of course, Mr. Canale for us.
3-1 to Hall, and it's foul back.
And he asked me this winter, he said, you know what, you know those little seats that you and Keith were sitting on behind the plate last year? Do you think you can get a couple of those? I said, yeah, I'll ask around or whatever. He got him. He said his wife just loves those seats. He goes, we have the best furniture you've ever seen. I'm with Canale. We got the greatest clothes. And she likes that little...
The stool?
The little stool.
That's great.
Yeah. I told George.
Hit hard toward the hole and just past the diving David Wright. First base hit of the night for the Brewers. A leadoff single for Bill Hall in the 3rd.
Well, first pitch that over the plate and up from Levon. Fastball, bell tie out over the plate. Full extension of the hands and arms of Bill Hall.
David made quite an effort there and has to redress himself.
You see that dive. You can see that it's the remnants have stayed on his skin and his uniform. Very muddy out there in the field.
So here's Mike Rivera making his 2nd start of the season tonight. You know, and Castro took the brunt of that. You know, being a backup catcher is often a lonely experience. For Mike Rivera, being the backup catcher on the Brewer last year was like being the Maytag repairman. He started 13 games the entire season. Was on the roster, healthy the whole year. Jason Kendall started the other 149, and Kendall started the last 34 games of the year last season. So Rivera had just 15 at bats after the All-Star break.
Wow.
You know, normally you're a big league catcher. After the season's over, you go home to rest. Rivera went to the Puerto Rican Winter League. Got 68 at bats in the Winter League. It was more than he had all of last season for the Brewers.
Jeez.
But with a new manager this year, that's going to change a little bit. Kendall is also off to a very slow start with the bat, but Ken Macha is determined to get Rivera in there more often and Kendall more days off.
I remember the backup catcher we had in 1984. John Gibbons was given the job. Backup catcher was going to be Rick Cerrone. At the end of spring training, John Gibbons took a hit from Joe LaFay to the jaw, broke his jaw out for the season. And Rick Cerrone, because he was a very funny man, came up to me and said, "Hey, listen, I didn't sign here to play every day. I mean, they got to get somebody else."
Spongy. 2-2 to Rivera.
Spongy, that's right.
Rick Cerrone was one of the hitters. We was playing over the Yankees when we were here with the Mets, and my dad said that Rick Cerrone, he liked his swing. So whenever my dad said he liked the guy's swing, I paid attention.
2-2 to Rivera. Hit hard down to third. Beautiful play by Wright. Gets to Forrest. Castillo the relay. A brilliant double play started by David Wright.
Well, this is all the hot corner here. Pure reaction. It's a bullet. One hop. David just there. A nice play. Played it back. And here's the play. Getting up and making the throw. Realizing the ball's hit hard. The runner doesn't run that good. Backup catcher Rivera, plenty of time, and that'll make a pitcher very appreciative. Ron,
he didn't have any of those plays with the Colorado Rockies last year for Levon. That was Brooks Robinson-like, wasn't it?
Well, David is getting very well acquainted with the infield dirt here at Citi Field. Going in both directions in this inning, coming up short on the first one and snagging the second one in Gold Glove style.
Well, that's second and third written all over it right there. Nobody out.
Bush grounds one toward the hole. Wright can't get this one, and again he makes acquaintance with that dark colored dirt as Bush has himself his first hit of the year. He's going to need a new uniform for the next inning.
I was going to say he's doing more housekeeping than getting to the ball.
Nice effort. Couldn't have placed it better. Right in between David and Jose. You always want to have a dirty uniform. The game's over. Then that sand, that dirt gets in your sleeve. Trust me, when you dive.
David Wright wearing Citi Field.
Looks like your bathing suit at the beach, right? Just trying to shake that sand out.
Well, here's Ricky Weeks, who struck out his first time up with the pitcher Bush aboard, and he hits this one in the air to center field. Beltran easing back. Lots of room out there to patrol, and the side retired. So Levon Hernandez gives up a couple of hits, but Wright's beautiful play saves him. Carlos Delgado will lead off in the home third. Delgado as hot as you can be right now. He'll try and get the Mets some more as we go to the bottom of the third at Citi Field. Some enthusiasm from the crowd here at Citi Field. I think they're waiting for T-shirts.
Well, they take a lot of shots of the people in the stands here, put it on that big, beautiful screen in center field. So it's become like a habit for everyone to look at that screen in center field to see if they'll be on it.
I guess as the as the screens have gotten bigger, the importance of being on that screen has increased exponentially.
Yeah, it's their baseball Andy Warhol moments.
Exactly right. I know when coming with some of my kids, their goal at the beginning of the game is to get on the big screen. That's the best thing that could possibly happen when you go to the ballpark.
That's funny. Now, my kids, if they came to the game, they'd be appalled if they were on the screen.
I have a couple of kids like that, too.
Okay.
Carlos Delgado leads off in the home third. And Dave Bush works the inside corner, strike one. Delgado lifted a long sacrifice fly in the first inning to drive home the first Met run. Now has 13 runs batted in the first 10 games of the year. It'll be Delgado, then Beltran and Church against Dave Bush, who got smoked for 3 runs in the first inning and gave up some hard hit balls in the second as well. But Reyes's seed went right to the right fielder. It's a curveball for a strike. And Wright was caught stealing after his base hit, so Bush was able to survive the second.
There's the big shift right there, the old triangle on the right side of the infield, straight up in the outfield.
Which one's Scottie Pippen? Grounded into the shift, and Ricky Weeks from the outfield grass has to be quick, and he just got him.
Boy, nice hustle.
Weeks hung back on that ball, and Delgado nearly beat it.
He did lay back on it. He assumed, and Carlos hustling down that line. Oh boy, not much of a stretch from your first baseman. Did he beat it? Yes. Oh, he's out. Just did get him.
It's very interesting watching that play and watching Weeks take his time. As I had a chat with Willie Randolph before the game tonight, and Weeks is kind of Willie's personal project as the bench coach of the Brewers, having been an all-star second baseman. And he said the biggest problem that Weeks has, and that we're trying to cure him of, is that he does everything too fast. He said it was sort of the same as Beltran grounds one to the right side for fielder, who bobbles it but recovers to make the play. He said it's sort of the same issue that Willie worked with Jose Reyes with when Reyes was first getting his feet wet.
He was a little too deliberate there, though. And you see those 15 errors? The problem is that he makes a lot of throwing errors, and that's where it came from, being too quick and not doing his proper crow hop and getting in position to make a good throw.
Well, it also brings to mind Steve Sachs and Chuck Knobloch, who had really the yips when it came to throwing.
Well, I remember Keith Overman's in the house here, and our good friend, his mom, had season tickets. Knobloch was playing second base, overthrew the first baseman, one hop, hit poor Keith's mom,
who recently passed away.
Yeah.
Church takes ball one. Marie Olbermann became she got her Andy Warhol 15 minutes from getting struck by that throw. Church was intentionally walked his first time. Ryan started the day second in the league in batting, hitting at .419, trailing only Christian Guzman of the Nationals. Looped, shallow center. Cameron coming on. Side retired. So a 1-2-3 inning for Dave Bush as he starts to get his act together. We go to the fourth, 3-0 Mets. then go to St. Louis for 3 games before coming right back. Corey Hart leads off in the 4th and bounces one to David Wright. Nice pick on the backhand. 1 pitch and 1 retired. David Wright getting a lot of action down at third base.
Well, he's come a long way with the glove, has he not? A 2-time Gold Glover.
Backhand.
Kind of good footwork there.
This is to make sure you don't get hit with the ball. Watch the ball. See, hear no evil.
That's about his strongest reaction in 2 starts.
Yeah.
He's so calm. Here's Ryan Braun, who bounced out to Castillo his first time up. Braun last year made the transition from third base to left field, and it seems to be a better fit for him out there. It'll keep him out of trouble defensively as long as he swings the bat the way he's capable.
Rookie of the Year in 2007.
You know what's interesting about it? He made the transition from third base to the outfield, much like Murphy is moving out to the outfield. But Braun hasn't made an error. Now he certainly doesn't really get to many balls.
I mean, that's not necessarily the best measurement, but nonetheless, they can hide him better out there.
Well, he got the big home run late for them down the last week of the season. Won a ball game that won the wild card for him. Led the league in extra base hits. Finished 3rd in the MVP balloting.
He was terrific in the big moments for the Brewers. And, you know, the Brewers had a lot of huge wins going down the stretch. Fielder hit a game-winning home run. Braun hit a game-winning home run. It was a team that understood that it was a big chance for them. I mean, management had gone out and gotten them Sabathia, who was just money coming down the stretch of the season. Went out there on 3 days rest, pitched complete games. They knew Sabathia wasn't coming back, and they may not be nearly as good this year as they were last year. Last year was their year to make it to the postseason, and they played great coming down the end of the year.
Well, last week, 6 out of 7.
Remember, the Astros were so hot in the end of that season, and then the hurricane came through and washed them out. They had to go up and play the Cubs up in Milwaukee, which, Gary, we commented on that being unfair.
Well, they got no hit by Carlos Zambrano in that series.
And the Cardinals played over their heads for so long, and then they faded late in that division.
Interesting.
Still in all, if the Mets had taken care of their business, they would have been in the postseason, and the Brewers would not.
3-2 curveball here.
Yanks it foul down the left field side.
Devon's got 2. He'll throw that harder one when he wants to throw a strike. He'll throw that real slow one when he's trying to fool the hitter. Certainly wouldn't want to throw a slow one here, 3-2, because if it's a ball, you put him on first. You've got a lead. Probably see him after that curveball, fastball away. Hope he hits it to center field, and Beltran can make a play.
This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat to Braun. Drives it toward right center field. Beltran racing over, gets there to make the grab. First step the key on that. Beltran made it look easy.
Nice at bat for Braun there. Right idea, taking Levon the opposite way, and Beltran just gracefully runs those balls down. I mean, that's a routine play for Carlos.
Just beautiful pitching, though. You know, you got a 3-run lead, you got a big ballpark. Let him put it in play. Maybe something good will happen.
Here's Prince Fielder, who fly deep to center his first time, and Levon keeps it away from him with the fastball.
13 batters now he's faced, with Fielder up, and 10 first pitch strikes. Putting the clinic on out there.
Tried the same spot and missed again. 2-0. Nice ball strike ratio for Levon. His first start, he shut the Marlins out for the first 6 innings before giving up a couple of runs in the 7th. And he's off to a similar kind of start tonight. Came to camp in a battle for the 5th starter's job, and really from the first outing you knew it was going to be Levon.
That battle turned into a rout.
Tim Redding was the favorite going in, and Redding is hoping to start making rehab starts coming back from some shoulder problems pretty soon. Redding could be a factor in the bullpen for the Mets. 2-2 curveball that balloons outside, 3-2.
Fastball in, Keith.
You never know with this guy.
Breaking ball, pulls foul.
It's like Don Sutton, and Don Sutton obviously threw a lot harder, but some were pitchers in the fact that they have all these pitches, there's big repertoire to throw at you, and you never pitch you the same way twice. So you just had to go up there, see the ball, hit it.
3-2 to Fielder, fastball fouled off. Well, there's Mike Pelfrey, who did some tossing again before the game tonight. Mets plan to have a decision sometime tonight as to whether Pelfrey's going to start Sunday.
And in Mike's defense, he wants to go on Sunday, and we love, you like to see that.
Curveball struck him out. Ivan Hernandez strikes out Prince Fielder. That's his third strikeout of the night. A 1-2-3-4 for Livan as he continues to slap up the zeros. Still 3-0 New York. Series with the Brewers continues tomorrow at 1:10 p.m. Mass transit, the fastest, easiest, and greenest way to Citi Field. Get to the Mets' new world-class home of amazing and visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now. Ramon Castro drew a bases-loaded walk his first time up. He leads off the home fourth and takes a strike from Dave Bush.
That's the fastball Dave Bush wanted to throw Ramon 3-2, and he missed and walked in the run back in the first.
That scored 3 in the first against Bush. Delgado a sacrifice fly, Castro the bases loaded walk, and then Luis Castillo an infield hit with the bases loaded. Accounting for the 3 runs, and Bush got hit hard but got through the second unscathed, looked a lot better in the third. 1-2 to Castro.
This is the first night we've been able to take our jackets off. It's a beautiful night.
That's right. I didn't even think of that. I've been just so cold for 3 weeks now. 2 weeks.
Well, temperature got up around 70 degrees today in New York. Should be about the same tomorrow. Should be great for the day game with Santana pitching.
You've got a day game after a night game day off tomorrow, right, buddy?
Yes, I do.
What are you, a catcher?
I am off tomorrow. I have Sunday. And Ronnie, you go on the road trip. I stay home.
Yeah.
How can it be that you're not going to St.
I
Louis?
know.
Hey, I just take orders.
That'd be a first.
He's changed.
Yes.
Little high, ball 4, and Castro. Oh, we call it a strike. Excuse me.
Late call.
Strike 3 called. Daryl Cousins, the home plate umpire, punching out Castro for the first out.
Boy, it's a hanger, too. Ramon's probably mad at himself. That's sitting right there on a tee for him. Sometimes that happens. You just get frozen.
So one away. Here's Castillo. Infield single to deep short his first time up. Now has 10 hits in his last 17 at bats. Remember, this is a guy who once had a 35-game hitting streak.
Yes. Oh, wow. As I said before, that's someone's father.
Is that the look he was going?
That's a kid.
Is that the look he was going for, or do you think that was a mistake?
I don't know, but he seems to be picking at his face like it's itchy or something.
Maybe he'll think twice the next time. You see Castillo 1 for 10 before that 4 for 4 night in Florida, and he has been rollicking ever since.
I don't know how they do it. I always go to probably one football game every year at the Meadowlands, and it was so cold, and people still like to go in the stands with their shirts off. I don't know how they do that.
Yep.
Jet fuel.
Like, yeah, they have. They've internally heated with what they gotten in there.
A little wild turkey.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Just inside to Castillo with the fastball, 2-2.
You know, Garrett, not to don't try to draw anything out of this than it really is, but the 2 games so far, the traffic's great after a ball game. The new arteries out, people get out of here fast. I've had no problem getting out of the ballpark for 2 days.
Well, last night I have to say a lot of people left early because it was cold.
Yeah.
But we'll see in the
Opening
summer.
day, everybody stayed. It was a
summertime.
6-5 game.
Yep.
You guys have a little secret silent way, though, don't you?
No, we don't.
That's not okay.
No, definitely not.
Well, Keith has the police escort.
Oh, he does.
Yeah,
Very
right.
nice.
Sure, I do.
Castillo slaps one out to short. Hardy charging. And he guns down Castillo 2 away. So Bush is now settled in to retire 9 of the last 10. And we'll check out our Aflac trivia question for tonight. Who was the first relief pitcher to win the American League Most Valuable Player Award?
I got my guess.
I have mine, too.
Are you in the 70s?
Yes.
Okay, me too.
Really? I was in the 80s.
You in the 80s?
I was in 84.
Okay, yeah.
Said American League, right?
Yeah.
American League.
Because in the National League, Jim Constanti won it with the Phillies in 1950. And he was predominantly a relief pitcher. Line to right off the bat of Levon Hernandez and picked off by Corey Hart to end the inning. So Dave Bush has his second consecutive 1-2-3 inning. We head to the 5th. Levon Hernandez given the liberty to go to the mound. He's been outstanding. 3-0 Mets. Why is brought to you by Budweiser, the great American lager. Fifth inning at Citi Field. J.J. Hardy leads off against Livan Hernandez, who's been in command, and Hardy takes a fastball for a strike. Hardy bounced out to second base his first time up. Livan has faced just one over the minimum through the first 4 innings. He's given up 2 hits. One of those erased in a double play. No walks, 3 strikeouts. Reminiscent of his first start against Florida. And the slider misses to Hardy, 2-1. Mike Cameron on deck, then Bill Hall, right-hand hitters all against Livan in the 5th. Hardy pops one up foul down the right side, and that'll sail into the stands.
That's about as good as it gets, isn't it? No walks.
That's the key.
Getting ahead of everybody with those first pitch strikes. 2-2 to Hardy. Lifted to right. Easy for Church. Now he has to drift back. That ball carrying well. A little deeper than Church expected. One away. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Well, guys, you know, I've spent a lot of time so far the first few games here at Citi Field on the field level and all the restaurants there, so I figured I'd come up to the Promenade level and just kind of scope it out. And there's some neat spots here, too. The Promenade Club right behind me. Seats 250. It's open about an hour and a half before the game. They have some Carver sandwiches in there, and then, of course, your normal fare, the nachos, the hot dogs, and the little bar area, which is kind of nice. And behind this, actually, which you don't see, it's technically above the Jackie Robinson Rotunda, a whole slew of food places. Got Subway, they've got Mamas of Corona. And the key is, you know, I think everybody is so enamored by the field level that the lines up here are not bad. I'm talking 5-6 people most, so this is where you have to come, as Reyes can't hold on to that one. And again, the view is just like the field level. You walk around, you can see the field. The short concession lines on the Promenade level, boys. Back to you.
All right, Kevin. Reyes unable to squeeze that line drive by Cameron, who gets credit for a base hit.
Well, I had a friend of mine I was talking to today, Andrew Miller, who sat in the Promenade deck behind the plate yesterday, and he said that he sat in the top deck at Shea many, many times. He could see the pitches from where he was, and that's pretty good.
Andrew Miller, the lefty?
No, not the lefty. He was busy in Florida or wherever they are, Washington.
Bill Hall, the batter, he had the first hit for Milwaukee. Brewers now with 3 hits, have not had a runner past first base against Livan. Cameron has stolen a couple of bases this year. Cameron now 36 years old, but he still looks like a young pup.
Yeah.
Interesting how this is the second time through the order for Livan, throwing more fastballs. First time through the order, he was throwing a lot of dip-de-doo, and now he's changed the program a little bit, mixing in more fastballs.
Slide step. He wants another fastball away. He'll try to sink it, try to get himself a ground ball here in this. Missed up. Got to miss downstairs with Hall. He has a pretty quick bat. He also has a lot of power to right center.
Hall's a guy who's very much on the precipice with this Milwaukee team. 3 years ago, he had 35 home runs and looked like a budding star, but he's had disappointing years back to back. Last year, hit just 15 home runs.
What a nice shot that is. And by the way, it's kind of filled up the stadium, hasn't it? And there's tons of people milling around over there in center field. Nice crowd.
It's a beautiful shot of the big gathering here at Citi Field. Capacity 41,800, and they have not sold any standing room yet. There may be something to come. 1-2 to Hall, just inside. 2-2.
A couple of friends out in Sag Harbor came to opening day in the second game. One thing they said that they loved was that they can wander around and have great seats, and even standing out in center field. It was just a great place to watch the ball game, even if you're milling about. And I think that was the whole concept of this ballpark, was that you could walk around this park and not miss a pitch.
360-degree rotation, curveball yanked foul. I mean, I've walked the concourse downstairs, where the concession stands are all the way around.
Yeah.
And you can see the game just fine as you make that promenade.
So, unlike Shea, where literally you got in your seat, unless you were getting up to get something to eat, you sat in your seat. Here, you can see the game from probably 4, 5, 6 different kind of venues.
Oh, Shea, once you go to the concession stand, go up the tunnel, you don't see anything. Whole different story here. And this is not a new concept. They have the same thing in Philadelphia, but it's new for Met fans, and I think they're reveling in it. It's kind of like when you get the house with the pool.
Yes.
You use the pool every day when you first move in.
That's right.
2-2 to Hall with Cameron at first and 1 out.
Well, my friend said that because everybody was there walking around the grounds. There was a lot of empty seats, and they were able to go over to the left field bleachers, center field bleachers. They were able to get up into the right field bleachers, upper tank. They said there wasn't a bad seat in the house. Wow. They loved every angle.
2-2, missing high. So now a full count to Bill Hall with the catcher and number 8 hitter Rivera on deck.
See if Levon can make an adjustment. We've seen just this inning, finally the ball starting to elevate in the strike zone.
70 pitches now for Levon. See if Cameron runs on 3-2. He's off, and Hall rifles one into center field, a base hit. Cameron will go first to third. And the Brewers have runners at the corners with 1 out. So back-to-back base hits for Milwaukee. And now they'll get the tying run to the plate in a 3-0 game with Mike Rivera coming up.
Well, Levon right now will definitely try to get a ground ball here with the slow-footed Rivera, who got robbed by David Wright back in the third.
Sean Green doing some loosening. Well, last night the Mets let a 3-run lead get away. That's already happened to them twice this year.
Well, we talked about this inning. He's getting the ball up a little bit. He wanted that down and on the corners, more center of the plate and up.
Oh, I love that.
It's your IOTV pitch differential. First and third and 1 out, and Rivera takes the fastball off the plate. Rivera hit a bullet between right and the third base line, and David made a terrific diving backhand stop and started a 5-4-3 double play to prevent trouble in the third. Hit to center field. That'll get the run in. Beltran going back as Cameron tags. Cameron can walk on home. Heading for second is Hall. The throw by Beltran gets through Castillo, and Hall is safe. It's a sacrifice fly for Rivera to get Milwaukee on the board. Cameron comes up limping. It's now 3-1 New York. There's no play on Cameron.
Oh, another pitch down Broadway, Ronnie. Starting to get his pitches up and over the middle. Beltran here makes the nice pivot. Heads up base run. Let's look at Cameron, see what happened to him.
Oh, he bumped with Castro.
It's like, what are you doing? Get out of the way. And good heads up by Hall here. Now, if Hall's doubled up, that run doesn't count, correct? Or does it count because the run scored before?
It depends on the timing.
Yeah. Right.
If he's doubled up before the run crosses the plate, then the run does not count. So Dave Bush at the plate had a base hit his first time up, and Levon looking Hall back.
Cameron running into Castro. It's like running into a garage door. I mean, he's just a big man.
The garage door gives more.
Yeah, I think you're right.
1-1 to Bush.
A single his first time up. He started out as a catcher, like you said. He had to have some skills at the plate.
.75 pitches now for Levon. And Bush takes the fastball just off the plate. Very close, 2-1.
That's a pitch that Levon wants, Castro wants, the Mets bench wants. Usually when a pitcher is up, that ball is near the corner. That's going to be called a strike, but not that time. by home plate umpire Darrell Cousins.
Honestly, it's a pitch Dave Bush wants, too.
Yeah.
Ooh, late swing foul, 2-2. Well, those bullpens are right next to each other.
That's a fine.
So a little hard to avoid the fraternization.
Seriously, that's a fine. You're not supposed to fraternize during a game, at least in our day.
Yes. How do you avoid it, though?
I know. Well,
2-2 to Bush, up and away, 3-2. We've seen that in Philadelphia, where guys can meet on the stairs with one bullpen above the other, but here the benches are back to back. Ricky Weeks on deck. A flare toward Castillo. He plays the hop and tosses out Bush to end the inning. Brewers get on the board. We're halfway through. It's 3-1 New York.
In the ninth, to fall just 1 run short, showed they were a team that could bounce back.
It is the 40th anniversary, of course, of the 1969 Miracle Mets. Worth pointing out that that opening day game was the first game in the history of the Montreal Expos. They won that game at Montreal, did 11-10. At that point in their history, the Mets had never won an opening day game. That was their 8th season. They made them 0-8 on opening day. So they wound up winning a world championship before they ever won an opening day game.
Wow. Huh.
And they've barely lost on opening day since.
And Newsday is in the paper, in the sport page, has the box score of every game this year of the '69 season. Wow. Which I've been buying every day to see the box score.
That's great. Well, Dave Bush, the pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers, has really righted the ship. 34 pitches in the first inning, but in the next 3, only 35. So now up to 69 here in the 5th.
Well, here's the big test for him, top of the order. Jose Reyes, he has not fooled once. Jose has hit 2 bullets.
Single to center and lined out to right. And the curveball in for a strike, and Bush was not able to throw that curveball for a strike early. Is doing it now.
Horses are already out of the barn, though.
And that fastball missed 1-1.
Kind of like his last start against the Cubs. 6 1/3 he went, gave up 3 runs. Very serviceable game, but Mets need to try to put a couple more points on the board. Get a little breathing room.
Out to short for Hardy, and that's the first out. Well, we mentioned the Mets twice already this season have lost games in which they had a 3-run lead, including last night. Last year, the Mets lost 14 games that they led by 3 or more runs. That tied for the most in the majors.
Ooh, that's a lot of games to get back.
And you know, this year, clearly the Mets bullpen is far superior to what it was last year. In fact, the Mets bullpen has the best ERA of any bullpen in the National League. But their starters have tended to give back leads. Here's Murphy, who takes high ball 1. Last night it was John Maine handed a 3-0 lead that disappeared. John's next start will be in St. Louis. 2-0 to Daniel Murphy. Mets are going to St. Louis for 3, and the Cardinals dealt a huge blow with the most recent injury to Chris Carpenter, which changes their whole dynamic of their starting staff. Off the corner, and now Bush behind on Murphy, 3-0. Bush walked 2 in the first inning, 1 intentional, has not walked anybody since. Here's a strike, 3-1. Bush finished very strong last year. Over his last 17 starts, he was 7-3. There's Braden Looper, who pitched well on Wednesday for the Brewers. Good slider by Bush, and it's 3-2.
Good. That's the best pitch he's thrown all day right there. 3-1, Ronnie.
3-1 little cutter, isn't it, Keith?
Yep.
Starts on the inside and moves in on Murphy.
On 3-2, Murphy strokes 1 out to short. Another chance for Hardy. And quickly there are 2 down. That's 8 in a row set down by Dave Bush. Talk about a turnaround.
When you throw strikes, you get ahead, it makes a world of difference. Something he didn't do in that first inning. He gave up 3 straight singles, wound up walking 2 guys, 1 intentional in that inning.
5 of his last 8 outs, Keith and Gary, on the ground.
So now David Wright, who's 2 for 2, twice his single to left. He's scored a run. David now with a 10-game hitting streak to start the year. Bush falls behind 2-0.
Well, with Delgado in the on-deck circle, left-hand hitter, and red hot, it just affords great protection for David. And boy, this is a pitch you can just sit on a piece of cheese. And if he throws you a slider like that, you can take it. 3-0. Let's see if he gives him a 3-0 hit sign, Gare.
Well, we saw Delgado homer on a 3-0 pitch last night. Beltran swing 3-0 tonight. David doesn't do it often, and he doesn't here, and he draws a 4-pitch walk. And so the Mets have a 2-out base runner for Delgado. Well, they've got opinions on everything, and they aren't afraid to share them. Don't miss the animated personalities of Chris Carlin and Adam Shine as they take on everything from baseball to your phone calls on Loudmouths, weeknights at 6 p.m. right here on SNY. Slides over and has a new partner.
How does he do it?
I don't know.
He has a much more sobering role in the postgame.
It's like taking off your batting helmet and putting on your cloth cap.
That's right. Well, that might have been a big mistake by Mr. Bush. Walking right.
So now Delgado, a sacrifice fly in the first, grounded out in the third, 0 for 1, and he takes up and in. Delgado in his career against Bush, 3 for 6 with a home run. Carlos Beltran on deck. Mets continue to face right-handed pitching day after day after day. Now the Brewers shift their infield further to the right after that first pitch.
1-0 count probably. The reason?
Nice curveball. That might be another reason.
Well, you can see right now 3 infielders on the right side of second base, and now they're moving Weeks way deep in the outfield. No, I shouldn't say way deep, in shallow right field.
Well, that's where Delgado hit it the last time, and Weeks nearly lost the play waiting too long. 1-1. In the air to right field. In comes Hart to make the catch. Side retired. So Dave Bush's fine comeback continues. We head for the 6th at Citi Field. Still 3-1 New York. Maintaining a 3-1 lead. Let's answer our Aflac trivia question. We asked who was the first relief pitcher to win the American League Most Valuable Player Award. And you guys were spot on. You had Raleigh Fingers pegged with the 81 Brewers in the strike-shortened season. Raleigh, of course, went from Oakland to Milwaukee. Kept the mustache, though.
He did. He did. Well, he was outstanding in that year. He would go literally 2 2/3, 3 1/3. I mean, he was very much like in the Goose Gossage time also. Those guys there was no middleman. They would take over after the starter could not make it anymore and finish the game.
And I remember when Fingers came up with Oakland right before they started the great run they had in the early 70s. He was the fifth starter.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't get through out of the fifth. So they put him in relief, and his career was off to the races. He had a great slider.
Great slider, right?
I faced him the first time I faced him. I was red hot with the Cardinals, with the Padres. He threw me a first pitch fastball inside that stunned me, and I had to take it. And then he came with a slider that just sawed my bat too. And I went, oh, well, that's why he's had success.
That's why he was the MVP.
Of course, Met fans first got to see Fingers in the 1973 World Series pitching for Oakland. He was in 6 of the 7 games. In that same World Series, the A's had a left-hander named Darrell Knowles.
Yes.
Who became the first pitcher to pitch in all 7 games of a World Series.
A's had a great bullpen. Bob Locker, I think, was on that team. I think Lindblad was gone. Paul Lindblad was gone by then.
Weeks hits one up the middle, base hit. So Weeks on an 0-2 pitch has a leadoff base hit, and the Brewers will get the tying run to the plate against Livan Hernandez here in the 6th. So Livan weakening just a bit these last couple of innings. And Corey Hart will come to bat as the tying run. 5 hits now off Hernandez. Hart has struck out and grounded out 0 for 2. Of course, the Mets' disappointment in the 73 series had nothing to do with Raleigh Fingers.
I could never figure out with a 3-2 lead in the series why they threw Seaver in Game 6. I mean, you could have thrown George Stone, and if you lose, you got Seaver Game 7 with his rest. I never understood that.
That has been the lament of every Met fan who was alive in 1973. Why did Yogi pitch both guys, Seaver and Matlack, on short rest rather than go with George Stone, who was 12-3 that year?
Well, even if George didn't beat him, you go to Game 7 with your Hall of Famer. There's Pedro Feliciano up in the bullpen again.
Every day.
Only left-hander out there.
1-1 to Corey Hart. Tied him up, but it missed inside. 2-1.
You know, they put Rusty out there. Rusty, of course, separated that shoulder in the playoff game, and that wound up. The ball found him at the wrong time, and that hurt them when Rusty had to underhand it in to Mian at second in the cutoff, and it was allowed the run to score.
You know, we were thinking about the Daniel Murphy play the other night. Times we've seen that happen. That's a good example when Rusty couldn't throw at all in that '73 World Series.
And Rusty had that big day off Ken Holtzman at Shea Stadium. Hit a couple home runs.
Yeah, he could still hit even though he couldn't throw at all with that damaged right shoulder. Weeks runs, line to the left field, a base hit for Hart. Weeks heads for third. Murphy plays it, and Hart will stop at first base. Runners at the corners with nobody out. So just like that, the Brewers have the tying runs aboard with their big hitters coming up.
Wants to come in with the fastball. It's in, and he turns on it, which makes you think, Ronnie, that the velocity is not there.
Well, Dan Worth is going to go out there, one, to give Feliciano a little more time, two, to go over the scouting report and how they're going to face Ryan Braun. This might be the last hitter for Mr. Hernandez, because you got the powerful, of course, Prince Fielder on deck.
There's only that one left-hand batter in the lineup, and that's Feliciano's man. While they talk at the mound, let's go to Chris Carlin in the studio for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break.
Hit and run or 3-2 count. Hit and run. Is he running? I will do the slow clap.
All right, Chris. Now Ryan Braun will come to bat with the tying runs on base and nobody out in the 6th inning. It's been a struggle for the heart of the Milwaukee batting order. Braun, Fielder, and Hardy. Neither one of them, none of them of the three has gotten off to a decent start. Look at that. 3, 4, 5 hitters hitting just 182 so far this year and 0 for 6 tonight. But a big spot for Braun, who takes a strike. Braun lined out to Beltran in center field his last time up.
And it's important to note that was not a hit and run, folks. There's not a manager alive 2 runs down, but hit and run at this point in the game. It was a straight steal by Weeks. Double play depth, straight up and deep in the outfield.
Slider misses, 1-1 to Braun. Levon would love to get a ground ball and trade a run for 2 outs here with a 3-1 lead and Fielder standing on deck.
Remember Levon in the middle of that time, an excellent fielder.
4 of those 6 hits have come in the last 2/3 of an inning plus. Reached for and fouled. 1-2 now to Braun.
There's a case right there where I think Ryan was looking for a curveball, and when you look for a curveball, you really have to be careful not to chase. This ball gets out of the strike zone, and it's just so critical that when you get your pitch and you're looking for it, not to swing at the ball out of the strike zone. Make it be a strike.
So not only do you look for the pitch, but if you get the pitch, you got to zone the pitch also. You got to do both things.
You kind of get it, and your eyes light up, and you get a little too excited.
Braun has just 2 runs batted in through his first 35 at bats this year. Hart runs, and it's hit in the air deep down the left field line toward the wall, and it's out of here. Ryan Braun with his first home run of the year on line drive 3-run homer, and just like that, the Brewers take the lead 4-3. That ball just high enough to clear that angled fence in the corner. And Braun, who had gone 35 at bats without a home run this season, has his first. And that'll be the last pitch thrown tonight by Levon Hernandez, who sailed through the first 4 innings, found trouble in the 5th, and a whole lot more here in the 6th.
Well, he gave up an 0-2 hit to Ricky Weeks, and now 1-2, trying to come inside. Had a little more room in there, trying to miss inside, did not. Caught part of the plate. Ryan Braun is just a great fastball hitter.
So the call to the bullpen brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. Feliciano coming on.
That's 2 fastballs into
Twins with a 3-run homer off the bat of Ryan Braun, and Levon comes out of the game now trailing 4-3 and gives way to Pedro Feliciano, who comes on to face Prince Fielder.
Well, this was the out he was going to have to get. Just didn't know that the Mets would be on the wrong end of the score by the time he came in. Interesting defensive placement for the Mets. They're playing Prince Fielder like you'd play Carlos Delgado against the left-hander. That's always a tough play because Feliciano, most of his pitchers are going to be away to Prince.
Sean Green getting ready. This may well be Feliciano's only batter. And a fastball for a strike. Interestingly, the first two at bats, Castillo was playing well into the outfield. Now he's playing right at the back of the infield dirt. Wonder why that change was made. Maybe somebody reminded Castillo that Fielder's not that slow. Off the corner, and it's 1-2. I mean, it's one thing if you have a big left-handed slugger who doesn't run well, you can justify playing 20 feet into the outfield.
Like an Adam Dunn or someone like that.
Bonds late in his career. Yeah. Jason Giambi. 1-2. Just off the corner, 2-2. Fielder tonight has fly deep to center and struck out 0 for 2. J.J. Hardy to follow. Still nobody out in the inning. Base hits by Weeks and Hart, and a 3-run homer by Braun, giving the Brewers the lead. On the ground to David Wright, who gives ground. He was positioned perfectly to throw out Fielder one away. So Feliciano gets his job done, and Jerry Manuel comes out of the dugout, and they'll bring Sean Green into the game to face the right-hand hitters Hardy and Cameron. So Feliciano, who pitches every day, can't afford to pitch too long. Sean Green next man in, 4-3 Milwaukee. Milwaukee Brewers in a very fast start for Levon Hernandez, 4 scoreless, and the Mets got him 3 runs to work with in the first inning. But just like last night, a 3-run lead couldn't last despite some great defense by David Wright. Levon giving up the 3-run homer to Ryan Braun that knocked him out of the game here in the 6th inning. And so for the second straight night, a 3-run first inning lead has turned into a deficit. And now Sean Green out of the bullpen to try and hold the fort here in the 6th.
Well, he's going to be a workhorse for this New York Mets club. 72 appearances, 79 innings last year for the Mariners. More the same this year for the Mets.
He'll come on to face J.J. Hardy with 1 out and nobody on. Hardy tonight is 0 for 2, grounded to second and fly to right. By the way, the Padres are at it again. They were down 7-1 in Philadelphia. Home runs by Scott Harrison and Nick Hundley. It's now 7-5 in the 6th inning.
Philly has not been getting good pitching.
That's Cole Hamels tonight. We know what's going on with his elbow.
And they've been a pitching staff that's given up a ton of walks. I talked with Sarge out there in who does the TV, Gary Matthews, he said they're just not throwing strikes, walking people, falling behind.
Mike Cameron waiting on deck. 1-1 to Hardy, and the slider misses. 2-1.
Hardy has quite an exaggerated stance, doesn't he? Open stance. Kind of has the bat over the plate. Totally open.
Oh, yes. But he'll stride in. Hands out over the plate, too.
Grounded foul. 2-2.
Very stiff swing, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I used to hold my hands out, but I held my hands out because I always had a bad wrist that I injured when I was a kid. And I always held my hands out and back over the plate just to emphasize my right hand, which was my bad wrist.
Green's 2-2, and he bounces it down to third. David Wright with the long throw right on target to get Hardy 2 down. So J.J. Hardy retired on the ground ball. 2 out and nobody on. Now Mike Cameron, the batter. Cameron scored the first Milwaukee run in the 5th inning after lining one that it appeared Jose Reyes was going to catch, but it went off his glove. Scored a base hit for Cameron, and he came around on a Mike Rivera sacrifice fly. Cameron, when he scored, ran into Ramon Castro and appeared to bang his left knee on Castro's shin guard, and was hobbling around a little bit, but stayed in. And he pounds that one off his foot so he can hobble some more.
I know it's hard after you've given up a 3-run home run and the Brewers will come back, as you see this foul ball off the toe of, or the instep of Mike Cameron. How quiet is it? Extremely quiet, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, here's the play right here. There's no play at home. Ramon didn't get out of the way. You can see the left knee hit the shin guard. It's like, come on, Ramon. Killing me.
Couldn't walk away fast enough. 0-2 to Cameron. Breaking ball just missed. 1-2.
Oh boy. There was a hanging slider right there. And Mike's a little high ball hitter. This is on a tee for him. And he missed it.
Cameron hit 2 home runs on Wednesday as the Brewers snapped a losing streak. Has 3 for the year. Once hit 4 home runs in a game. Grounds that one out to Reyes. So Sean Green comes on, gets a couple of ground ball outs. But one swing of the bat by Ryan Braun has changed this game. Braun's first home run of the season after hitting 37 last year, a bolt to left. A 3-run shot. And the Mets now have to play from behind at the bottom of the 6th. Not even Keith's picture?
No, no one's picture.
Carlos Beltran leads off in the home sixth against Dave Bush, who all of a sudden has himself a lead. Who would have thought that going back at the first inning? And Bush seemed not to be able to get anybody out. But he's thrown up 4 zeros since then, and now the Brewers have rallied. But Beltran lines one into right field and gets the Mets started. In the bottom of the sixth, Hart cuts it off. That ball appeared destined to skip by him. But he holds Beltran to a single.
Breaking ball here, I believe. Yes. Not quite in enough. Carlos just turns on it.
Boy, his swing looks good, doesn't it?
He likes beautiful swing on that one.
So now the tying run aboard with nobody out. And here's Ryan Church, who's been intentionally walked and flied to center 0 for 1.
Carlos yet to steal a base, even attempt one. Now's the time.
Well, Church has been hot behind him. And Church, who bunted for a hit yesterday, trying to do the same with Hall playing well off the line, but he fouled it off.
Big curveball here, made it a little tough on him to get this ball down. Nice try, just too much down the line. Good idea. Bill Hall was off the line and playing back. Now he's got to go to hitting.
Guess he didn't see last night's game.
Yeah.
Why would the Brewers were off?
It's New York City, guy.
Oh yeah. 1-1 to Church. You saying that he might have had something else to do?
There's lots of things to do.
Off day in New York, you kidding? The last thing you're going to do is watch a ball game.
I know where Willie was yesterday.
That's right, home.
At Yankee Stadium, where
Yeah,
he
that's right.
was introduced on opening day. There's a huge picture of Willie hanging at Yankee Stadium as well in the new ballpark. Oh, up high, 2-1. They even at the new Yankee Stadium, apparently they've named some suites after players, and suite number 30 has Willie's name on it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Well, Castro going back in the dugout. Perhaps to check from a scouting report or a piece of equipment. Not leaving the game, I'll tell you that. You missed the news earlier. Brian Schneider went on the disabled list today with a sprained muscle in his back. And the Mets called up Omir Santos to take his place. So Castro's going to be doing the bulk of the catching now for the next 2 weeks.
Hit and run count here.
Bush likes that cutter when he's behind in the count. It's a good pitch to hit in that hole between Fielder and Weeks. Oh, trying the hidden ball trick here by Fielder. There we go.
If you hold the ball and stare at the runner, it probably gives it away.
Yeah.
You're better off probably playing it cooler than that. Beltran stole 25 last year, has stolen as many as 41 in a season. 2-1 to Church. Little tapper right back to Bush. Goes to second, gets the out there. Hardy's relay in time for the double play. Ball not hit hard, and yet Bush able to start the 1-6-3 double play. 2 out and nobody on.
Nicely done. We've seen 2 nights in a row the opposing pitchers being aggressive, getting a ground ball back, hit right back to him. No hesitation, no thought of safety first. Beautiful turn right there by the shortstop J.J. Hardy to clear himself from the slide.
So the tying run is taken off the bases, and now Ramon Castro bats with 2 out and nobody on. Castro, a bases loaded walk and a strikeout, 0 for 1, and he breaks his bat and lines it over short for a base hit. Bat snapped in half, and Castro winds up with his second hit of the season.
Well, that soldier went down with a base hit. You got jammed there, and you. That's right. You get the Medal of Honor. Distinguished Service Cross for that bat.
Look at the bat boy. You see that flip?
He did.
See that? You got to show that again. That was an incredible flip. He flipped that bat, and it settled right on its end in exactly the right spot. That was very impressive. Now Castillo, who had an infield hit to drive in a run back in the first, grounded out in the fourth. And Castillo takes a strike.
Fielder wisely playing behind. Oh, there it is. Let's watch the bat boy here.
This is one of the most impressive plays I've seen all year. Look at that, just a flip. Look at that. You couldn't do that again if you tried 100 times. Castillo grounds one weakly out to Weeks, who gets the force play on Castro to end the inning. 2 hits and 1 left. 6 in the books now at Citi Field. Mets still down by a run. What a play. For more on car insurance, visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. Tomorrow at 12:30, Johan Santana looks for another phenomenal start as he makes his debut here at Citi Field. Mets Brewers coverage begins with KFC pregame live tomorrow at 12:30, only on SNY. You can't be much better than Santana was in his last start. 2 unearned runs, 13 strikeouts, and a loss.
There's only one guy in the league that was better than him that day. Just had to be on the same field. Josh Johnson.
Boy, he threw a great game.
Ooh.
How about his power stuff? I loved him. Loved him last year when he came back off that injury. That Tommy, what do you have? Tommy John?
Tommy John. He went 7. No, did he? Yeah, he did. But he went 7-1 last season.
Josh Johnson, and he's throwing harder now than he did before the surgery.
Agreed. He beat the Mets twice down the stretch last year.
I should have known that. I would have had a little operation in '95. I'll tell you that.
Bill Hall is 2 for 2 tonight, and he takes off the plate from Sean Green, who came on to get the final 2 outs in the 6th and stays on for the 7th. It'll be Hall, then Mike Rivera, then the pitcher spot. See whether Dave Bush is done. Bush has thrown 94 pitches, quite a recovery, 5 shutout innings after a dreadful first.
Boy, it looked like he was heading for an early shower. He's really gotten it together.
I give him a lot of credit, huh?
Yes, because he really, that first inning, he had nothing.
Meanwhile, Jerry Manuel had to go to his bullpen in the 6th as Green gets the curveball over for a strike. Levon Hernandez, who had cruised through the first 4, found trouble in the 5th, and it crashed down on him in the 6th. Levon going 5 innings plus, allowing 4 runs and 7 hits, and he's on the hook. 1-2 to Hall. Waves at the slider, and Green has his first strikeout as he gets Hall 1 away.
Well, a good slider there to Hall. Starts in the middle of the plate, ends up off the plate. A lot of movement. You know, watching Sean Green throwing from that right side, and we know who he replaced, really. Joe Smith. Joe Smith pitched today at Yankee Stadium. I got to see him throw. He was throwing awfully hard.
How'd he do?
He did nice. Nice job. One of the few Cleveland pitchers to get anyone out.
I was going to say, he didn't give up a home run.
No.
Yankees had 5 home runs against the Indians today. Here's Mike Rivera. Drove in a run with a sacrifice fly in the 5th. Chris Duffy, the former Pittsburgh Pirate, out on deck to bat for Dave Bush, so it appears that Bush's night has come to an end. And the Brewers will hand it off to a rather uncertain bullpen. Plan was this year for 41-year-old all-time saves leader Trevor Hoffman to be the closer for the Brewers, but Hoffman not yet ready to pitch, and so Carlos Villanueva has been closing some games for them. Their best relief pitcher so far has been Todd Coffey. There's Mitch Stetter, the lefty, up in the Brewers pen now. Going the other way, Rivera finds grass and it'll go to the wall. Rivera heads to second. Church with a quick turn. His throw is offline though, and Rivera slides in with a double, his second of the year.
Well, here's the right field we're all wondering about here, and he plays the carom nicely. And the throw's offline, wouldn't have mattered anyway. That's a double written all over that, even with the slow-footed Rivera. Nice hitting by Rivera going the other way.
So a runner in scoring position with one out, and now Chris Duffy will be the pinch hitter. When Duffy first came up with the Pirates, they thought he was going to be a star. Guy could really run and play center field, but he had a bad shoulder that he never told anybody about, and really missed the last 2 years getting that shoulder right. Brewers took a flyer on him. He had a great spring training for them as a minor league invite and made their ball club. Breaking ball for a strike to Duffy.
This is his second pinch hit of the season. 0 for 1.
Bobby Parnell, bullpen for the Mets.
Looks like Bobby's moving up in the food chain there in that bullpen.
Yeah, I think you're right. He looks like more and more the 7th inning specialist.
When you move up in the food chain, you go later in the game.
Unless you end up in the 13th inning, that's not good.
No, that's right.
Then you're at the bottom of the food chain. 1-1 to Duffy. Hit to shortstop, trying to go to third. Rivera is tagged out. Base running mistake by Mike Rivera, trying to go from second to third on a ball hit in front of him, and he was a dead duck for the second out.
Well, ball hit to the right of the shortstop. You are right at him. You don't go. Up the middle to the shortstop's left, you go, and that's just bad base running. You take yourself right out of scoring position. And Rivera knows it.
Especially if you're as slow as Mike Rivera. So 2 out. Duffy at first. He can run. Weeks the batter, 1 for 3, and he takes a slider for a strike. That very famously happened in a postseason game. Mets Giants, game 2 in 2000 of the LDS. Mets were on the verge of going down 2-0. Giants had Armando Rios at second base in the 10th inning. He made that same mistake, got the Mets out of a jam.
It's amazing how many times it happens.
I'm sorry, Ron. Go ahead.
It's a play that you're taught since as young can be, but I guess when you get on the base and you don't have a lot of speed and you only start 13 games a year before, you want to get on your horse to score if there's a base hit.
Good breaking ball by Green, 1-2.
That was a great playoff, the Giants and the Mets. That was the Bobby Valentine years. That was as exciting as it comes.
Well, that game, Mike Hampton pitched great, but JT Snow hit a tying home run off Armando Benitez. Mets took the lead in the 10th, and then John Franco struck out Barry Bonds to end the game. That was thrilling.
3-2 changeup.
Got him looking. And Bonds will still tell you it wasn't a strike. Johnny will tell you otherwise.
That's right.
And then, of course, Benny Agbayani won the next game with an extra inning home run, and then Bobby Jones pitched a one-hitter to wrap it up in game 4. Sent the Mets on to the LCS where they beat the Cardinals. Off the corner, and it's 2-2 to Weeks. Corey Hart waiting on deck. Ricky Weeks got hit in the jaw by a pitch from Edison Volquez on Monday. which sounds really bad, but he got right back up and he was fine.
Wow.
2-2. Bounce foul.
I remember Ellis Valentine when he was at the peak of his career before he came to the Mets and with Montreal. Roy Thomas was our big 6'7" right-hander with a little bit wild, a hard sinker. He hit Ellis Valentine right in the nose. I was playing first base and I heard it crack. And all Ellis Valentine did was bend over, put his both hands to his face, and then he trotted to first base. Of course, they pulled him, but it was just
wow. That's tough.
Ellis Valentine was one of the finest talents I've ever seen when he came up from Montreal. He had a great arm, was a great defensive outfielder. He could hit with power, could run.
5-2 player, right?
Yes, he was.
They developed an enormous amount of talent, that Montreal franchise. 2-2. Behind him to the backstop. To second goes Duffy as the carom comes all the way out to Sean Green. Trying to throw the slider, and he threw it behind Ricky Weeks.
And look at the carom off the wall here. This is something that's going to come into play. Whoop, ole. But watch this. This is like Wrigley Field. That ball bounces all the way back into play.
Well, it's close, only 45 feet, and it's hard. It's a brick wall back there.
Yeah, and Shea, they always had the padding there, so the ball would really settle in them.
So that's going to play very interesting.
So Duffy at second, Weeks on 3-2, goes down swinging at the slider, and Sean Green is able to extricate himself in the 7th inning. Stretch time at Citi Field, 4-3 Brewers.
But I missed. I didn't actually want to fall over because it's 62 feet to the ground. I was actually trying to go back to my geometry days and figure out the angles and everything. All I can tell you are the specs. 62 feet high. It does extend 8 feet into fair territory here in the Pepsi Porch. And a little under 1,300 people. But this is kind of like the cool section. You know, it's kind of like the nice little area because you have your own concession stands right up here. You're kind of secluded from the rest of the park. This guy's trying to be on TV. He has no idea the camera's over there, so he's missing the point. It's really a cool section watching the game. I was up here for like the last half inning. The only thing you can't see is right below. You cannot see the track. So, for instance, on that last double, I lost that. The rest of the field, though, very good sight lines. And we already saw Carlos Delgado's shot come here. I guess the question is going to be who's next coming up here. Oh, and one other thing. Talked to Darryl Strawberry before the game. I said, hey, Darryl, if you were playing, would you aim for the Pepsi Porch? Guys, you'd appreciate the answer. Darryl said I would aim for out of the stadium.
Yeah, I was just going to say that Darryl's not the one who's going to create the Tony Tarasco moment for an outfielder.
Yes.
Waiting for a fly ball that never comes down. But that's going to happen to somebody. Mitch Stetter takes over the pitching for the Brewers.
Well, Stetter appeared in games for the Brewers last year. He's kind of a funky lefty. Throws a little bit from the side, kind of a sidewinder. Couple walks, 3 strikeouts so far in this young season.
He pitched in that series in Milwaukee when the Mets, would they sweep them in Milwaukee that 4 games, Gary? Or was it 3 out of 4? I forget. But he was wild. Funky motion, as you said, but was all over the place.
And Gary Sheffield, who began his career as a Milwaukee Brewer, good 20-some years ago.
Shortstop.
One-run ball game. Sheffield 1 home run shy of 500. And he takes outside from Stetter 1-1. Jose Reyes and Daniel Murphy to follow. Bobby Parnell getting set to pitch the 8th inning. And Sheffield bats for Sean Green, who had a nice outing over an inning and 2/3. 1-1. Sidearm hit in the air, foul. He got out ahead of it and yanked it. Sheffield out in front, 1-2.
I would advise Stetter against right-handers not to drop Laredo.
Stetter's pitched well so far this year. He's given up 1 hit in 2 1/3 innings. One of 2 lefties now in that Brewers bullpen. 1-2. Sheffield takes one at his feet. 2-2. Brewers had just the 1 lefty, but they just called up another one, R.J. Swindle, when they put David Risky on the disabled list yesterday. We saw Swindle with the Phillies last year.
Yes, that's right.
They need more of those special hologram balls for Sheffield's at bats. And Darrell Cousins checking the balls to make sure he has the right ones. That way, if Sheffield hits his 500th home run, there'll be no question who has the proper baseball. Of course, that foul ball he just hit, does that one, couldn't somebody say that that was the one?
Well, I guess they have numbers on it.
Do
or
they?
something, right? Yes, I think they have numbers on it.
2-2.
Oh, good cut.
The thing about Gary, he doesn't get cheated on his swing.
Never has. Big leg kick. Not as big as Darrell's. It's not as big as Darrell's. But he takes a vicious cut.
Two to Sheffield. Yanked foul.
Razor shines.
Give it Brown. Retreat. Retreat.
Put some armor on.
Sheffield's a dirt guy. He makes Razor shines get on the dirt.
Shades of Rene Latchman when McGuire used to bat.
That's right.
He'd go down the left field line. 2-2.
Oh,
Outside, ball 3.
that was close.
So Sheffield, who walked as a pinch hitter last night, works the count to 3-2.
Tries to backdoor him here. Good call. Curved around.
Never got there.
He's going to get a little slider here.
3-2. Foul back. 8 pitches from Stetter to Sheffield and still going. Sheffield leading off in the bottom of the 7th. Mets down by a run. And he drives one deep down the left field line. Hit it toward the corner, and it's out of here! Gary Sheffield with his 500th career home run. His first as a New York Met, and the Mets have tied the game at 4-4. Come out to greet Gary Sheffield. His first hit as a Met puts him in the 500 home run club, the 25th player to reach the 500 home run plateau.
That young man has the ball. Well, it's not only his 500th home run, it's a home run that is a big home run, puts this Met ball club right back in the ball game.
How would Sheffield fit in with this team? I think we're getting a little indication of it.
He has said everything correctly. He has done everything correctly. He has worked incredibly hard over the 2 weeks that he's been with this team to get himself to this point. And they all came out to be a part of the history as Sheffield gets a curtain call. the first time it's ever happened that a player hits his first home run for his new team, and it's his 500th. He's also the first Met ever to hit his 500th home run as a Met. So quite a moment for Sheffield, and just as importantly for the ball club, that home run ties up the game. Now Jose Reyes takes ball one.
Here's the pitch. Fastball. Tried to get a cutter on his hands, and boy, did he turn on that bell tie. And no doubt, congratulations.
Well, we've learned very quickly in this ballpark, down the lines. That's the place to go, and Gary knew it. The only question was fair or foul, but he seemed to know it was fair all the way.
Bill Castro, the pitching coach, trying to come out. Stetter almost let the ball go.
So Stetter, a 9-pitch at bat, gives up the home run to Sheffield. Probably falls behind Reyes 2-0. In a tie ball game, and Castro wants to change the equation.
I guess when you hit 500, you have a pretty good idea whether it's fair or foul. Good for him. Wow.
And Gary's never been a guy to do that, to emote like that.
Yes.
Generally, he puts his head down and runs. But this was big. This was special after being released by the Tigers, set adrift at age 40, signed on with the Mets, and now he has his milestone. Although, you know, in fairness, he said that 493 was bigger than 500.
Went past Frederick McGriff. That was the key. Tampa writes.
But he looks pretty happy with 500. 3-0 to Reyes, and there's a strike, 3-1.
And even more importantly, the script is perfect if that home run there spurs the Mets onto a victory here as he gets them tied up.
493 also, Lou Gehrig. He was pretty good. Reyes lofts one into shallow right. That falls for a base hit. And now the Mets have the lead run aboard with their speedster with nobody out. So after the Sheffield home run, Reyes with the hit. Here's your IOTV pitch differential.
That's too much plate and up. Sheffield's always been a hitter that stays level on that high ball. That's why he's had such great success. A lot of his line drives, a lot of his home runs over his career were line drive home runs.
So now Daniel Murphy, and we'll see whether Reyes gets the opportunity to steal a base here. Murphy up there to bunt, and he takes ball one.
Late in the season last year, Daniel Murphy had to put down a bunt, and he looked very awkward doing it. It'll be interesting. He did not get the bunt down, in fact, last fall.
Oh, it's a good play here facing the lefty, I think.
I like it.
Although, even better if you let Reyes steal second and let him bunt Reyes to third.
How about a hit and run 1-0?
Reyes the go-ahead run at first with nobody out. Mets were up 3-0, down 4-3. Now they've gotten Levon Hernandez off the hook on the Sheffield home run.
Murphy bunts, walk right to face Delgado.
Inside, he hit him. Murphy gets plunked. Now they're saying that he offered at it. They looked down at third base. They want help from the third base umpire. Ken Maka's going to come out and argue as well. If you offer at the ball and it hits you, it's a strike. And Maka is arguing just that.
He never took the bat back. I think that Maka has a good case here. He's going to ask the third base umpire.
Well, let's take a peek right here. Oh boy, that is debatable.
And they're bringing it back.
I thought it was a foul ball. Did it hit his bat?
Well, Willie is saying foul ball. I think that the catcher, Rivera, was arguing that he bunted at the ball. Either way, they're bringing Murphy back and taking away the hit by pitch. And it'll be a strike.
Well, that's going to get Jerry out now. And that's going to be a losing argument. I thought it hit the bat. I think Willie was right.
I think it was both. He offered at it, and it was a foul ball, and he fouled it off into himself. Watch. Let's see. Offers at it.
Light freeze cam.
He's very lucky it did hit the bat.
Well, if it hit the bat, then there's no question it's a foul ball and it's a strike. If the question is whether he offered at it, that's much more of a judgment call.
Well, it's debatable because he's doing both, offering and trying to get out of the way. But that bat's got to come back. It can't stay out there, even if you're trying to get out of the way.
I don't think he tried to offer it. I think it hit the bat. If it didn't hit the bat, I'd have said hit by pitch if I was a third base umpire. But I think it hit the bat.
There was no firm indication as to what they ruled, but it certainly appeared as though it could have hit the bat. Anyway, it's a 1-1 count to Murphy, and so he gets the pain but not the reward, and he's back in the batter's box. Let's see if the bunt's still on. And it was. He was giving himself up as Stetter threw that ball to first base.
Well, you can see the ball right there, going that way off the bat. Yep.
So he bunted it into his knee.
Yes, exactly. I tell you what.
1-1 to Murphy, and again it's in on him, and he gets the bunt down foul. Boy, for a kid who is not used to bunting, this is a very uncomfortable at bat.
And well, you got a pitcher that's all over the place. I told you when you started the inning, Ronnie, that he was a little bit all over the place and wild.
Well, it's clear that Daniel Murphy has been a number 3 hitter his entire life. If he's going to be a 2-hitter, he's got to have some bunting lessons.
Well, you know, it's hard enough bunting anyways when you don't bunt, but the bunt off this left-hander who is just, like Keith said, all over the place. I mean, you wouldn't want to throw the ball inside the lefty here. You want to throw the ball outside.
So now it's 1-2. We'll see if the bunt is off here. With Wright on deck, Murphy's set to swing, and he offered out at strike 3. Reyes takes off, and he is in standing at second base. So it's a strikeout, but Reyes winds up on second with 1 out, so it has the effect of a sacrifice.
Well, very heads up by Jose here. Did not hesitate. This ball's not that far away from Rivera. And Jose, if he had hesitated a moment, boom, he's gone.
It's a wild pitch charge to Stetter, moving Reyes along. Now they'll intentionally walk David Wright, and they'll leave the lefty in to face Delgado with 2 on. But almost thrown away.
Better put someone behind the catcher. Jeez. Come on. Play catch, son.
Oh. RJ, I love it.
Sorry.
So David will reach base for the 4th time today. 2 hits and now his 2nd walk. Mets have tied the game here in the 7th on an historic home run, a pinch hit homer by Gary Sheffield, his 500th career home run, his first as a Met, in fact his first hit as a Met. And now the Mets poised to try and gain the lead as Wright gets the intentional walk. The 2nd of the night dealt out by Ken Maka. He intentionally walked Church in the 1st, and that one didn't work because Dave Bush then walked Castro to force a run and gave him an infield hit to Castillo that produced another run. So now it's Delgado, who's 0 for 2 in a sacrifice fly tonight.
Delgado got to witness Sheffield's 500 as he's on his own way to 500.
And that would be something, wouldn't it, if the Mets had 2 players reach 500 in the same season. Delgado began the year needing 31. He's already got 3 this year, including home runs in each of the last 2 games. 1st and 2nd and 1 out. And it's inside to Delgado 1-0. And Stetter's got to watch out because Reyes could be thinking about stealing 3rd.
Well, they got the defense. You've got Hardy right behind Jose to hold him. And you can't move the 3rd baseman over because Jose can steal 3rd, obviously. This is the kind of pitcher, Ronnie, that's just, how do you have an approach off him? I mean, he doesn't even know what he's doing out there. So you kind of look for a ball away. You just try to get a base hit.
Guys are harsh. 1-0 to Delgado, swing and a miss at the breaking ball, and it's 1-1.
This is his best curveball all night. Starts behind Delgado. Still up in the strike zone, though.
Stetter was in 30 games for the Brewers last year, allowed just 14 hits in 25 innings, but he also walked 19 in those 25 innings. 1-1 to Carlos. Fastball fouled off, and it's 1-2.
Well, I shouldn't say that he doesn't know what he's doing. He just hasn't got.
He's wild.
He's wild as a March hare.
Mitch Stetter out of Larry Bird U.
Oh,
he's a Sycamore from Indiana State. Reyes and Wright, the base runners, with 1 out. Stetter ahead on Delgado, 1-2. Up and in, 2-2. Carlos Beltran next. Two. Goes the other way toward the line. That's a foul ball. Delgado just missing that left field line. That would have driven in 2.
Well, we've seen Carlos do this all spring, and that's just good hitting. It's not a home run situation here. You're not in the count now. You got 2 strikes on you. You know, get a base hit. A base hit scores a run, or a gapper scores 2.
Hard-working inning for Mitch Stetter. His 5th batter. He's already thrown 27 pitches. After coming on in relief of Dave Bush, who left for a pinch hitter. First man to face Stetter, Sheffield, hit the home run. A single and a walk later, 2 aboard for Delgado. 2-2. Low and away with a slider, and it's 3-2. Do you send him here?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to strike him out, throw him out here.
Now with Beltran as hot as he's been this spring and April.
Exactly. And Reyes
2 chances.
Reyes is going to score. Even though if he gets a ground ball, it could be a double play. Reyes is going to score in a single. Don't want to run yourself out of an inning.
Hardy trying to keep Reyes close. 3-2 to Delgado. Way outside. Great stop by Rivera to prevent it from going to the backstop. But now the bases are loaded.
Well, 3-2. This pitch is not even close. He hits in the other batter's box. And what a play by Rivera.
Because if that ball, as wide as it was, gets away, who knows how it might have caromed and Reyes might have scored. So Maka is on his way out. With Beltran coming up, he's going to take Stetter out of the game. So the Brewers go back to their bullpen. Todd Coffey will be coming on. Mets have tied it at 4. And he drives one deep down the left field line, headed toward the corner, and it's out of here. Gary Sheffield with his 500th career home run. His first as a New York Met, and the Mets have tied the game at 4-4. An historic moment here in the 7th inning, as Gary Sheffield's first hit as a Met is his 500th career home run. The Mets have tied it now, looking to grab the lead as Todd Coffey comes out of the Milwaukee bullpen.
Well, he's been awfully good. Probably their best reliever coming out of the pen. Coffey, he hasn't given up any runs, 3 punch outs, only 2 hits given up in 5 1/3. So he's trying to clean up this mess that Mr. Stetter has left him.
Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, the red-hot Padres, who were down 7-1 in the Phillies, 3 in the 8th off Ryan Madsen, and the Padres now lead at 8-7. Coffey clutch on the infield.
Yes.
Well, Todd Coffey, a big guy who throws hard, never quite clicked with the Reds. But he's been terrific for the Brewers. And now trying to put out the fire here in the 7th as Beltran will bat with the bases loaded and 1 out. Reyes the go-ahead run at third, right at second, and Delgado at first. Beltran's had only 1 career at bat against Coffey. 0 for 1. Middle infielders a double play depth. Beltran 1 for 3 on the night. Lays off, and it misses. 95-mile-an-hour fastball, 1-0.
I cannot believe here that they're playing a Prince Fielder in. This is the 7th. It's the bottom of the 7th. I just think you have to play back.
Yeah, they're playing in on the corners.
I think they may feel as though with Beltran's speed and Fielder, right-hand throwing first baseman, that they can't get to by way of second if it's hit to Fielder.
Yeah, but the problem is, though, is you open up that hole and the Mets could have a big inning. If he's back, even if you get an out, you've given up only 1 run.
Fielder doesn't cover a lot of ground now with him playing in. That really opens up a hole for Carlos.
1-1 to Beltran. Swing and a miss at the fastball away. Good pitch by Coffey. It's 1-2.
That's the second funky swing I've seen from Carlos here. I don't think he's picking the ball up off of Coffey a little bit. He's been red hot, but that's 2 uncomfortable swings that I've seen from him on this at bat.
Carlos with 8 career grand slams. Bats with the bases loaded in a tie game. 1-2. Broken bat pop up, and the runners will have to hold. Infield fly rule is called, and that's the 2nd out. So Coffey dominating Beltran, and now there are 2 out in the inning.
They want to go away again, and they get it away. Again, another calls out in front off the end of the bat.
Coffey, when he was with the Reds, was a 4-seam guy, and he's more of a 2-seam guy now, and maybe the scouting report hasn't caught up with him yet.
Good movement away there, Beltran. Another meeting at the mound.
Ryan Church now to bat with the bases loaded and 2 out.
If you're Church and you're in the on-deck circle, you got to be looking fastball away first pitch, aren't you?
A guy like Coffey, you're looking for a fastball period. That's his bread and butter. Yes.
Reyes faking down the line from third, getting Coffey to step off. Reyes was talking this week about sometime, somehow, stealing home. Not right now.
Inspired by Jackie Robinson, maybe?
Yep.
Jackie at what, 19? Steals of home?
That's amazing.
Yeah,
it sure is.
Last straight steal of home by a Met was Roger Cedeno. He did it at Yankee Stadium. One and 0 to Church. And he takes a strike on the outside corner. Boy, Coffey looking very sharp with that fastball. It's 1-1.
He's just pounding that outside corner.
28-year-old Todd Coffey from Forest City, North Carolina. And that one just off the plate, 2-1.
Well, if you're pitching here, you can't afford to go 3-1, so you're going to have to center this pitch a little more.
Birch has seen Coffey before. He's 2 for 4 with a home run against him. 2-1. Broken back grounder. Hardy in front of it, ignores the runner and gets the out at first to end the inning. Boy, Todd Coffey breaking a couple of bats and getting the Brewers through the top of the 7th after Sheffield tied it with his historic 500th home run. Stretch time, tied at 4. Nothing, trailed 4-3. Sheffield's homer tied it. Mets were poised to grab the lead, but some rather dominant pitching by Todd Coffey kept them from doing that. Now Bobby Parnell will try and do the same against the Brewers.
Well, Parnell's been great so far. Those 2 walks came in a game in Cincinnati, but other than that, he's been throwing strikes, keeping the ball down.
Up and into Corey Hart for ball 1. Hart is 1 for 3, struck out, grounded out, single to left right in front of Ryan Braun's 3-run homer in the 6th. In the air down the right field line, foul. 1-1. Levon Hernandez went 5 innings plus, allowed 4 runs and 7 hits. Pedro Feliciano retired, the only man to face him, and Sean Green with some fine work out of the bullpen. An inning and 2/3, no runs, 1 hit, and a couple of strikeouts. Hart hits another one foul, and it's 1-2.
One thing for sure about Parnell, he's not afraid, and he throws strikes. Here he is, a young man in the 8th inning in a tie ball game. Jerry Manuel showing tremendous confidence in him.
Bobby making his 6th appearance in the first 10 games of the season. Remember, going into spring training, the Mets had to make a decision on Parnell, either keep him in the big leagues as a relief pitcher or send him back to the minors where he would continue to start, which he had done for most of his career. Popped up, and Castillo retreating. 1 away. So Hart retired. 1 out in the 8th. Let's check in with the studio. It's time for Chris Carlin and a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, thanks very much, Chris. And now Ryan Braun, who Gave the Brewers a lead in the 6th inning with a 3-run homer, his first of the season. Bats against Bobby Parnell with 1 out in the 8th, and he grounds one right to Reyes. Scoops it out of the dirt, and they're a 2-man down. So 2 up and 2 quickly set aside as Parnell sets down the dangerous Braun. There are your Chivas probables for tomorrow. Johan Santana, 3rd start of the year. He's been tremendous in the first 2. Giovanni Gallardo will make the start for Milwaukee. 12:30 on SNY for KFC pregame live. You going to be watching, Keith?
A little bit. I got some work to do around the house.
A little gardening.
Excuse me. Geez, that came out of nowhere. No, I got to get the furniture. I got to clear the garage. It's all loaded with stuff. I'm not looking forward to it.
Fielder takes a strike. Well, you know, the last time Santana pitched, it took only 2 hours and 4 minutes to play the game, so maybe you can put your work on hold for those 2 hours.
I will TiVo, I guarantee you.
Lunch at 1.
Just a long lunch. Fielder tonight 0 for 3, flied out, struck out, grounded out. Just 1 hit in his last 15 at bats. 2-1 from Parnell. Fouled away, 2-2.
You know, it's interesting, and the reason Parnell made the team. Remember last year when Jerry was getting irritated at the bullpen? He says, we have some guys out here that seem to be a little tentative in the strike zone. And what they loved about Bobby Parnell from the second he got to spring training, he just kept pumping strikes in there. And as soon as they saw that and liked his makeup, that's when they decided that he's going to be in their bullpen.
2-2 off the plate, 3-2. Well, the Mets have, you know, they've obviously retooled their bullpen in terms of the talent level, but also in terms of the velocity. They've got harder throwers now than they've had in a number of years as a group. 3-2 to Fielder. Just missed, ball 4. And it's a 2-out walk to Prince Fielder.
Parnell has not thrown a breaking ball yet this inning. It's just been all dead red.
That's the first walk issued by Mets pitching tonight. And now J.J. Hardy will bat with the go-ahead run at first and 2 down. Hardy is 0 for 3. He sat out on Wednesday for the Brewers with a stiff back, but right back in the lineup tonight. You see the numbers in the Mets bullpen, best ERA in the majors. And so far tonight, they have held up their end. 2 2/3 so far from the bullpen without a run. Hardy hit 24 home runs last year. That's the second most among major league shortstops last season. So he's a threat.
One thing Parnell is doing, Ronnie, is to the right-hand hitters. He is throwing up and in, and out of the strike zone, and they're offering at it, and they can't square it up.
Oh-2 to Hardy. Struck him out. High fastball. Parnell gets Hardy on 3 pitches to end the inning. So another terrific inning for Parnell. Mets up a lower third of the order coming up in the bottom of the 8th. Looking to snap a 4-4 tie. Way to Citi Field. Get to the Mets' new world-class home of amazing. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now. Fans grooving to Sweet Caroline.
This is where mom and dad are singing, and the daughter's saying, "Oh, come on." There's our Jeannie, right?
Yes,
Jeannie Palmer?
Jeannie Palmer with her
She's the greatest.
beautiful son and husband.
She sets us up here and makes sure everything is working.
Hardest working woman in show business. And nobody knows.
That's right.
Mets get a second cup of coffee in the bottom of the 8th. Todd Coffey put him to sleep in the 7th. Ramon Castro leads off the home 8th and takes a fastball in tight, 1-0. Another good night at the plate for Castro. Bases loaded walk in the 1st. Singled over short in the 6th. Ramon takes the slider inside, and Coffey falls behind 2-0.
Got to take a pitch here. Imagine if Castro's able to walk. Do you pinch run for him?
I would think so.
Right. Mr.
Yes.
Santos catch the 9th?
I believe so.
We've got Reed and Cora who can pinch run. And Tatis, I guess. 2-0 pitch. Grounded toward the hole. Hole can't make the diving play, and Castro has his second hit of the night. And the Mets get the lead runner aboard to start the bottom of the 8th.
I thought I saw Mr. Reed moving around down there. Let's see.
So Jerry go down the dugout steps and yell at somebody.
Oh, that's a good choice. Alex Cora.
Absolutely.
So Alex Cora will run for Ramon Castro, and that means Omir Santos will make his Mets debut and come on to catch in the 9th inning. If you missed it earlier, Brian Schneider on the disabled list, changing around the Mets catching core. J.J. Putz, Francisco Rodriguez, both getting ready in the Mets bullpen. So now Castillo in a bunting situation. Louis is 1 for 3, drove in a run with an infield hit back in the 1st.
Well, you could put a sneak attack and hit and run. I doubt it.
It wouldn't be an awful play because Coffey has thrown all the left-handers away. You have Hall charging. He's only about 45 feet away. And Louis can slap it that way, of course.
Absolutely.
Jeremy Reed out on deck to bat for the pitcher.
And you see right there the Bill Hall playing way in.
Cora's got a short lead. And Castillo takes it high as he squared to bunt, 1-0. So Coffey, who was dead on with his fastball in the 7th, a little erratic with it here in the 8th.
See that with a lot of relief pitchers, especially the guys that throw hard. They come in and they are locked in. They make their pitch and then they go sit down for 15 minutes. They come back and they're a little flat.
1-0 to Castillo.
It's always interesting to see pitchers pitch when they become the pitcher of record. how they pitch when they can get the L.
Again, he misses upstairs, and it's 2-0. Well, Coffey fell behind Castro 2-0, gave up the base hit. If you're Castillo, you taking a strike here?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I think that he should square around and bunt because he's such a good bunter. He's going to get the same pitch 2-1 if he throws a strike. So to square around,
I think if Jerry puts the bunt on, you got to bunt.
You got to bunt, yeah. But if he gets the take, would you square around still to maybe throw off Coffey's timing a little bit? He doesn't seem to like to throw when a guy squares around.
Well, the strategy of the manager is to get the runner in scoring position.
Yeah.
He's more likely going to get a fastball here down the middle, a pitch he can really handle.
And Castillo gets the bunt down. Hall with the bare hand play. Gets the out at second. What a play by Bill Hall.
Wow.
Reacting quickly to snatch that ball with the bare hand and get the 5-6 force play.
That is as fine a play on a bunt by a third baseman I've seen in a long, long time. And it be all made possible because of the aggressive charge. This is a good bunt, Ronnie.
Yeah, great bunt, Keith.
And a bare hand and then throw a dart. Wow.
That was a tough pickup, too.
That's a big league play.
That ball rolled around his hand a little bit as he grabbed it. So now Castillo replaces Cora at first, and Jeremy Reed bats for Bobby Parnell. Reed, who had a game-tying hit in Florida on the last road trip, now comes up in a big spot in the bottom of the 8th with the go-ahead run at first and 1 out. And Jeremy takes a strike. Reed is 2 for 6 thus far. Both the hits have come as a pinch hitter.
You watch Coffey, he's very unusual. He's going to try to hold Castillo close. Watch as he takes the sign. He will look at the runner over his back shoulder. Very unusual.
Very observant, Mr. Bond.
Now you can do that. You just can't turn your shoulder. If you do that, it's a ball.
I think I just pulled something in my neck.
Now, why would he do that?
I've never seen anyone ever do that.
Never. You think you've seen it all.
You can see if the guy had a huge lead, maybe you'd get a better angle that way. But that is strange. Swing and a miss by Reed at the fastball, 1-2.
And it's so unusual. I think it takes the runners a while to figure it out. But it looks like he looks over that back shoulder, and as soon as he looks back at the plate, he hasn't done a double look yet. So that's a time to take off.
One and two to Jeremy Reed. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Todd Coffey with his first strikeout. Now there are 2 down in the inning.
Well, just good fastball. It's that little sinking action late. We've seen the swings from Beltran, and they're from Reed. They're just not picking it up.
And it's a power sinker. It's not a lazy sinker. It's he's got some mustard on it.
So now Reyes with 2 out and Castillo at first. Jose 2 for 4 tonight.
Got to steal that bag, don't you?
Yes.
Castillo has not attempted a steal yet this year. Hit 17 last year on a bad wheel. Reyes lines one the other way for his 3rd hit of the night. Castillo pulls in at second. And the Mets have the go-ahead run in scoring position with Daniel Murphy coming up.
Well, Jose observant on the bench. He was paying attention. Coffey pouring fastballs away to left-hand hitters. And Jose, first ball fastball heading right there, a ball away, going the opposite field.
So now Murphy, who's 1 for 4 on the night, singled and scored back in the first.
Well, that means that Mr. Coffey should play right into the hands of Murphy, who likes that ball away also.
Yes.
Castillo the lead run at second. 2 down. And it gets away briefly from Rivera, not far enough for Castillo to make a break. 1-0. In Washington, the Nats led 2-1 going to the ninth. Cody Ross, a home run off Joel Hanrahan to tie that game.
He's heating up, isn't he? 3-run home run yesterday.
Yes, he is. He was off to a terrible start when the Mets played in that 3-game series down in Miami.
It's been a magical first couple of weeks for the Marlins. 8-1, and now they've tied that game in the ninth tonight. 1-0 to Murphy. And Daniel takes high. 2-0 with David Wright waiting on deck. David's been on base 4 straight times tonight. Mets now with 4 runs and 11 hits. They need 1 more hit. Murphy's been aces with runners in scoring position since he came up last year. Mets are 2 for 6 in RBI situations tonight. On 2-0, Murphy takes it low, ball 3. So Coffey falls behind 3-0.
Well, Coffey sitting there, and Ken Maka thought that ball was a strike.
Now, you don't expect Murphy to be swinging 3-0.
No.
Right down the middle, 3-1.
Oh, let her rip now.
Yes.
Castillo and Reyes aboard. 4-4, bottom of the 8th. Three and 1 to Murphy. And he walked him. The bases are loaded for David Wright. 6 walks tonight for Milwaukee pitching. Coffey has gone an inning and a third. Trying to get one more big out in the 8th.
Well, that's a no-no right there, RJ. You got a rookie, not really a rookie, but
still,
you got to go after the young player, not the guy who drove in 124 runs last year.
The Mets left them loaded in the 7th, trying to avoid leaving them loaded in the 8th. David has 2 hits and 2 walks tonight. He's 2 for 2. In the dirt, stopped by Rivera, 1-0.
That just adds a little bit, as you see Francisco Rodriguez getting ready. Just adds a little bit for third base for the runner Castillo, because even on a pass ball, you got to be careful that you don't have a boomerang effect and right back to the catcher.
Already seen that back wall come into play a couple of times this week. 1-0 to right. And David grounds one right down to Hall. Had it played perfectly, gets the force play to end the inning. Right-handed sharply, but the Mets, for the 2nd straight inning and the 3rd time tonight, leave them loaded. Still tied up as we head to the 9th. Ojeda for all tonight's highlights, exclusive interviews, and Jerry Manuel's post-game reactions. It's Lincoln Mercury post-game live, and it's right after tonight's game, and now after every Mets game, only on SNY. Omir Santos, who played briefly for the Orioles last year, makes his National League debut, coming on to catch. Jeremy Reed, who pinch hits, stays in the game in left field. And J.J. Putz comes on to pitch the top of the 9th.
Well, you saw both Putz and Rodriguez warming up. The goal was Mets score, Rodriguez coming in for the save. If they don't, of course, the tie game. J.J. Putz gets the action.
Murphy comes out, so Putz hits in the number 2 hole. Santos goes in the 7th spot.
And Ron, sorry, Gary. Ronnie, you talked earlier about and Gary, you mentioned also about the increase in velocity out of that bullpen. Well, here's another guy in Putz that throws hard.
It'll be Mike Cameron, Bill Hall, and Mike Rivera, 3 right-hand hitters due up. Mets now have just 1 player left on their bench, and that's Fernando Tatis. Cameron is 1 for 3, had an infield single in the 5th and scored a run. And he pops the first pitch up foul. That'll come back and out of play. Seth McClung and Carlos Villanueva are up in the Milwaukee bullpen. Villanueva has been serving as the closer, so it appears that he's getting ready in case the Brewers get the lead. McClung, if they don't. Cameron is the only hitter in this Brewers lineup whom Putz has faced before in the American League. Cameron 0 for 3 against JJ. Bill Hall on deck, and then Mike Rivera. Mets have out hit the Brewers 11-8. They rallied to tie it on Sheffield's 500th home run in the 7th. But the Mets then left the bases loaded in the 7th and left them loaded again in the 8th against Todd Coffey.
Well, Putz has been up in the strike zone. He wants to get that ball down. Cameron's on one of those hot streaks right now. When he runs hot, got to keep the ball away.
Two one, and he misses low, and now he's behind Cameron 3-1.
Not a man to lead off, issue a leadoff walk to.
And a high pop fly into shallow right. Castillo going out. Church charging in. Who's going to call? Church makes the catch. Church had to use all of his speed to get to that, playing so deep out in the gap in right center.
Well, this ball had lots of hang time. You see Church running a long way.
Castillo stayed on that ball just to make sure that Church was going to get there to call. So 1 out and nobody on. Here's Bill Hall, who's 2 for 3. Struck out his last time up against Sean Green in the 7th. Mets bullpen has been spotless so far tonight. 3 scoreless innings from Feliciano, Green, and Parnell. And now Putz in the 9th. Ball 1 to Hall. J.J. Putz his 6th outing in the first 10 games of the year. Mets have really had to push their bullpen early. I mean, it's been very successful, the best staff ERA of any bullpen in the major leagues, but everybody in that bullpen has had many more appearances than Jerry Manuel would like this early in the year. All the primary guys have pitched in at least half the games. 2-0 to Hall. Hit hard, but right at the shortstop. Ball comes up on Reyes, and there are 2 out. So Putz has retired the first 2 in the top of the 9th. And now Mike Rivera will come up. Rivera's hit the ball solidly all night. Hit a shot to third that Wright spectacularly turned into a double play. A long sacrifice fly in the 5th, and then he went the other way and doubled to the right field wall in the 7th. So a guy who rarely got to play last year, getting a little more playing time and taking advantage with his bat.
He's always had a good bat, though.
Mets will have Delgado, Beltran, and Church due up in the 9th. Putz trying to keep it tied here in the top of the inning. And Rivera takes high, ball 1. Mike Rivera began his year with the Tigers, but his career with the Tigers, but was Craig Counsell out on deck to pinch hit, but wound up in the Atlantic League.
Oh, good slider. That's the best pitch he's thrown this inning. Puts a little bit wild high today. Boy, that's a good slider.
Rivera was playing for the Atlantic City Surf when the Brewers signed him a couple of years ago. 1-1, and the splitter hit in the air to shallow left. Reed playing very deep, so Reyes has to go out to grab it, and he makes the catch to end the inning. 1-2-3 inning for J.J. Putz. Bullpen 4 scoreless, and now the Mets will try and win it in their final turn at bat with the big bats. Delgado, Beltran, and Church will try and win it for New York in the bottom of the 9th. by Corona, by Lexus, by City, and by Bob's Discount Furniture. Veteran right-hander Seth McClung takes over the pitching for Milwaukee as we go to the bottom of the ninth.
Well, he's one of those guys that has started games for the Brewers and also relieved, but the number that you want to take a look here is he's pitched 7 innings. That's good. ERA 5.14. That's not good. The walks are the key. 7 walks in 7 innings out of the pen. That's not a good number.
Last year, 55 walks in 105 innings, so that follows the pattern.
He's a hard thrower, that's for sure.
He is.
Veteran Craig Counsell comes in to play third base in the double switch. Counsell will bat 9th. The pitcher hits 7th. It'll be Delgado, Beltran, and Church. Mets have not come from behind when they've trailed after 6 innings this year. They did trail after 6 tonight, tied it on Sheffield's homer in the 7th, but have fallen short in 2 bids to take the lead. Now Delgado leads off in the bottom of the 9th. 0 for 2, a sac fly and a walk, and they put on the overshift against Carlos. But Counsell stays relatively shallow in between 2nd and 3rd.
Well, the Mets have had their opportunities. They've had 3 innings where they've left the bases loaded. That was back in the 1st, in the 7th, and the 8th.
There's a strike at the knees with a breaking ball, 1-1.
And McClung's one of those guys, Ronnie. He has great stuff.
Great stuff.
He can just harness and harness his pitches. He's a power pitcher, throws extremely hard. You just saw that terrific hard curve.
West Virginia native Seth McClung. Line drive left field, base hit for Delgado. Braun can't cut it off, and it goes to the wall. And Delgado will cruise into second base with a leadoff double. Despite playing deep and playing no doubles, there's so much room out there, Braun couldn't cut it off.
Great hitting. Up and away fastball. Delgado, no inclination to go deep. It's just to start the inning off. And the ball gets by Braun, who doesn't cover a lot of ground out there. And this is just terrific hitting.
You want it down and away, and that ball misses by almost 1.5 feet.
That's beautiful.
Cryo TV pitch differential, so now a base hit could win it for New York. You certainly don't expect the bunt with Beltran, although knowing Carlos's history, you wouldn't put it past him to bunt on his own. Carlos 1 for 4 tonight. Church to follow. Problem there is behind Church you've got Santos, and you don't know what to expect from him. Beltran pulls one foul. Almost low-bridged Luis Alicea in the first base coaching box.
Well, good arm in center field and Cameron. Good arm in right field, of course, with Hart. Not a great arm in left field.
See Counsell right there. He's got to respect that bunt. But I want my number 5 hitter swinging the bat. Look for something to pull.
If you were the Brewers, would you walk Beltran?
No.
0-1 to Carlos, up and away, ball 1. Well, if they get Beltran out, you figure they have to walk Church to pitch to Santos. Mets can't bat for Santos.
Well, the base open, you're allowed to pitch him carefully. That's the difference. You don't want to straight out walk him.
Mets have 12 hits in the game. They've left 11 on base. Delgado representing the winning run at second base, and time asked for him. McClung didn't realize it.
The catcher asked for time there, Rivera.
Playing Carlos fairly much to pull on the right side of that infield.
And now Rivera and McClung will get together in conversation.
McClung is one of those young pitchers that has great stuff, just doesn't know it. You know what I mean? He's not as confident as he should be. And if that ever comes to pass, he's going to be awfully dangerous.
One and 1 to Beltran. And the breaking ball low and inside, 2-1. Keith Bell got another save. Padres beat the Phillies 8-7, coming from 7-1 down in that game.
That's Bell's 7th?
6th.
Is he mad at the Phillies too?
Maybe it doesn't matter. McClung gave up the leadoff double to Delgado. Now Beltran trying to get that winner home. Fouls it away, 2-2. McClung began his big league career with Tampa Bay, pitched parts of 3 seasons for them before landing with the Brewers a couple of years ago.
Great schoolboy athlete in West Virginia.
Two and two to Beltran. And Carlos swings and misses at the fastball. 96 from McClung. That's the first out of the inning.
Wow. This is a good cheddar cheese right here. And it's upstairs to Carlos where he likes it.
So now with first base open, let's see what they do with Church. With Omir Santos waiting on deck, they're going to walk Church intentionally. So Santos just recalled from the minor leagues with Brian Schneider going on the disabled list. What was that? See that first pitch?
Seen it a couple times already today.
Might as well underhand it.
I thought he was tossing back to the catcher for a new
look,
ball.
Look at that.
It's very strange. It's so interesting when you see pitchers. Here's a guy who can throw 96, 97 miles an hour, but it's hard for him to just play catch at 60 feet.
Mackie
Almost
Sasser.
threw that over.
Mackie Sasser syndrome.
Well, you know what it is? He's got the yips.
You mean like you and I when a 3-foot putt?
There you go. Maybe you.
So there's ball 4. And so now Omar Santos has a chance to play hero. We saw Santos quite a bit during spring training this year, and he swung the bat very well. Got some big league time with Baltimore last year and 10 at bats for the Orioles. 27 years old, native of Puerto Rico. Played at East Central Missouri Junior College. Originally drafted by the Yankees. Signed with the Mets as a minor league free agent this past winter. And here is his first at bat as a Met and a chance to get the winning run home from second base.
The nerves are, he is fluttering right now.
And Santos takes a slider for a strike.
It's just like take a deep breath, step out, take a deep breath, count to 10.
What an opportunity, though, right? How to win friends and influence people right away.
In a hurry. Could be a folk hero. Low and in, moved his feet, 1-1. Luis Castillo on deck. Delgado led off the inning with a double. McClung came back to strike out Beltran. And then intentionally walked Church to get to Santos. Brian Schneider going on the disabled list today, bringing Santos to the big leagues. 1-1. Slow ground ball. Hardy will have to go to first, and he gets Santos for the second out as the runners move to second and third. So now the winning run is 90 feet away, but now 2 out. Luis Castillo coming up.
Well, sometimes you get a simple gift. That's an out to first base, but he didn't hit it hard enough to end up being a double play.
You're a pitcher out there, Ron. You gotta I get a ground ball, and I got it too much in and jammed it.
Prince Fielder initially is set up deep at first base.
I like it. Bring that bunt with you, Luis.
That's a very good point, Gary.
That is just golden for Castillo if he wants to drag.
Oh, here he comes in. Here he comes in.
Dugout got his attention. Castillo takes inside, ball 1.
Do they got a TV in the broadcast, Gary? In that dugout?
I think they just recognized that it was probably a good idea to bring Prince in.
You got Willow over there, Willie Randolph. He knows what he's doing.
Yes.
Certainly knows Castillo. First base is open. Jeremy Reed is on deck. As Castillo tries to get Delgado in from third. Breaking ball slapped toward the hole. Hardy on the backhand. The desperation throw. Not in time, and the Mets win it. The Mets with their first walk-off win at Citi Field on the RBI infield hit by Luis Castillo, bringing home Delgado with a winning run, and the Mets win it 5-4.
Well, that's the Louis we knew of old right there. Hitting the ball on the ground, the opposite field, and boy, that's got to make him feel so good doing it here in front of the home folks. Backdoor slider,